Hi, I'm JimmyNavio. Welcome to Hit the Bucket. I'm glad to have you guys here with me today. My name is JimmyNavio. If you are here from Chris or Josh's community, please stick around and enjoy. I have my co-host with me as well, Mr. James28 or James, or, any variation of the sort. A reminder for anyone listening to this podcast out there, we record this podcast live on Twitch. So occasionally we may shout out to the audience. There may be some things that don't make sense in audio form. If you want to participate, come check it out at twitch.tv/JimmyNavio. Also, this podcast will be recorded tonight, Wednesday night, 6 p.m., but it'll go up Friday on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. Also, in my merch channel, we have a Hit the Bucket shirt and sweatshirt available, mug, sticker. We got the whole thing. Check out the merch. The official Hit the Bucket logo is available. And also, I know I mentioned if you want to get a hold of me, hit me on Twitter or Discord. We have an official email now. We have hitthebucketpodcast@gmail.com. So if you're out there listening and you have an idea for a topic or a video or a guest, or you want to be a guest, hit us up. hitthebucketpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you guys. And without further ado, I think we're ready to bring on our guest, Mr. ChristopherClever, not Cleaver. That Bishop girl has gotten mad at me. I'm going to call you Cleaver at least once tonight, so hope you're ready. And Mr. JoshTuckerTV. All right, if you guys want to unmute yourselves, we're going to bring them on right meow.
Hello? Is this thing on?
Oh, meow, Jimmy.
Right meow.
Hello.
Hey.
What's up?
We did it.
We made it.
I stumbled through my intro and muted myself again, but we did it. We arrived here with our guests, and I'm super stoked to have them. Josh Tucker decided he was going to beat a game at the last second.
Hey, it happens, right? Like, bad. I'm literally thinking to myself, I'm like, timing. And I know it's like, do I end it and then have like this awkward 15 minutes? So I appreciate you, you being there. As we beat the game, Subnautica, an incredible game. It took me way too long to beat it, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Chris also watched all of the credits too. By the
way. He played it all the way through.
They were like, there's something at the end of it, and I'm always like, are they marveling it to us? Like, it's something good, but it was disappointing after the credits. But the story is top notch. I mean, if you guys haven't played Subnautica, life for like 2 or 3 days, right? Like, it's 100% worth it.
See, I didn't even realize. I've seen people play it. I don't know too much about it. I didn't realize that there was like a pretty deep narrative and plot and stuff to it. I thought it was just like an open world like water game.
See, it was for like, and that's when I first started playing it. I played it like 2 years ago. Yeah. And then it was just like, and they were adding new creatures, and I'd kind of come back in and we kind of look at the creatures, kind of talk about this. And then I was on my friend's channel one time, and saw this narrative, and I was like, whoa, what's happening? And then I realized he was beating the game. And I was like, oh God, get out of there.
They added all of that stuff later.
Finally, like, if you've played it at all, now is the time to pick it back up, because the DLC is coming out, right? So it's even better.
Nice.
That's always a good time to get in.
So. Dude, yeah, that's awesome. No, Christopher and I were like lurking in your channel watching you beat the game. We're like,
hurry up, darkness.
Will he make it? How are you doing? Do you go by Chris, or do you prefer Christopher?
It doesn't matter. My mom called me Chris, so that's what I usually go by. But I don't know. Chris Clever sounded too short.
I'm gonna call you Cleve Daddy, just to make the Bishop girl mad for the rest of the night. So yeah, we're gonna real quick. Just so you guys know, anyone out there checking out this podcast, they are both Twitch streamers, but they have many stories to tell. I'm excited to really learn more about them outside of Twitch. These might be two of my more interesting guests as far as like career and experience and stuff. So
okay, you're putting yourself on a pedestal.
No, it's true. It's
really
like
building it up, Jimmy.
It's true. I'm very excited to ask you guys some questions. But first, James, how's it going?
Oh, it's going good as always. I always look forward to our weekly podcast.
James spent the last couple days beating down a Discord full of trolls, so this is his night off from his mod duties.
Oh, it is. I'm still eyeing it every other minute or so to make sure nothing bad's happening.
Yeah, he's a prominent player in a game called Minion Masters, and he's a mod in their community forums, and I guess a bunch of people just decided they were going to poop all over the whole community, so there's been a lot of ban hammers coming down.
It's the internet. It's like no surprise anymore.
It's not. I was telling the devs, I was like, you have a global chat in here? That was fine when the community was like sub 100 players.
Yeah.
You should probably get rid of it now.
Yeah, general chat is poison everywhere.
Or put a paywall on it. Like to even have access to the world chat in MapleStory 2, you have to like pay for it. Like you can't even access world chat unless you either pay $5 a month or you use in-game currency to even be able to use world chat.
Not the MapleStory I knew.
By the way, speaking of MapleStory 2, James, I hate you, and you can die in a fire because you were like, yeah, you should check it out. It's a pretty laid-back MMO, blah, blah, blah. I'm fucking hooked on that game, dude.
It's good. It does some things right.
I played it way too long the other night. I got to like 12.
That's how it always works. It takes one person to say it's good, and you're like, maybe I'll try. And then you're just like 14 hours later.
Exactly. So, hey, let's get into some questions.
Uh-oh.
Christopher, I'm going to start with you. Well, this kind of relates to both of you, but I'm going to start with you, Christopher, because you mentioned that your hometown is Memphis, Tennessee.
That is correct.
That also happens to be where Mr. Josh Tucker is from.
It's weird, right? Super small. I mean, I don't know. Like, I could have been on this podcast with anybody, and when I found out it's him and found out where he's from, I was like, oh, this is going to be exciting.
Yeah, so let's dive into that a little bit. So you say you're from there. You grew up there, like
I was born there, and I spent the first 28 years of my life there, and then moved down to Austin, Texas about 4 years ago. Mostly I love the city, Austin, but mostly for job opportunities, and I worked from home, so it was like gave me a reason to. But yeah, I mean, I love the city, and it's still going to be my home. I go back there at least twice a year, once a year, maybe. It just depends, really. But good place.
And Josh, you still live there, right?
I do, yep. I live born and raised. I had a couple little stints where I would move away. Went to New York City a couple of times to study, to do a show there. But Memphis is home. I mean, I grew up in a small suburb out of the town. Went to University of Memphis when I turned 18. And I like live and breathe Memphis. Memphis people, and like Chris can kind of shed some light on it as well. Like, we're Memphis, right? Like, you claim Memphis. Memphis has like a kind of heart and soul to it that I'm really proud to be a part of. There's definitely like this new resurgence of Memphis as well.
I'm surprised how many streamers are from Memphis. That like finding out along the way, it's like, that's what, that person really?
That's what I was going to bring up. Like, from that whole, not just Memphis, but that whole general area, like that clump of states right there. There's so many streamers, and I'm like, I'm trying to figure out why. Like, I don't understand. There's just not an ocean nearby, or
Midwest? Exactly. What's going on out there?
There's not an ocean. That's the answer to everything. No sea. We're stuck.
I just feel like there's so many more streamer. Like, yeah, there's so many Midwest streamers. I feel like it's rare for me to run across another California streamer. I don't know. It's really there's got to be something in the water. I don't know what it is. Maybe you guys just have good internet out there. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
No, I can attest to that.
The Memphis infrastructure is a whole different story.
It's like, are your two options like drugs and crime or streaming? Like, I don't like. Is it? Anyway,
so you got. We chose the latter.
Or laser tag, which Chris was
closed. That place is closed.
Oh no!
Yeah, feels bad, man.
How long has it been closed?
A couple of years now. It's It's like a hair salon place, and like a school.
Oh, so for those listening, there is many epic tales of a specific laser tag place that all of these people are familiar with, and a big streamer that I talk about occasionally on the show, one of my huge inspirations that got me into streaming, Mr. Cobalt Streak, basically held the first place record at this location for years. And he on his stream, he would even talk about it. He's like, anyone ever wants to show up, I will show you why I'm the best. Like he's very confident about his laser tag skills. What was the place called?
Laser Quest.
Laser Quest, yeah.
And Chris, you said you worked right next door to there, and like you met Cobalt and didn't even realize you made the connection later on.
I mean, you got to think this was when we were like 16, 17 years old. So this was like kind of young on, and I think he had the job around then at Laser Quest. He worked there for a bit. I think he held the first position and was so good at it, and then he worked there. So I think it's like I don't know if that's the right order, but I worked next door or right down the way in a place called Cybernet Cafe, and it's since closed down, but it was an old little internet cafe there run by some old Korean guy who came into town and was basically setting up shop all over the place. And so I would go into Laser Quest like after work with friends, and we would play to have a good time. And every single time we tried to just play and have a good time, this dude would kick our ass.
He's there just crushing you all.
And we got to know who he was. His name was Come Again. It was just Come Again right there on number 1. And we look and we'd be like, we need to find a time to play when he's not fucking here. Cause like, this is too bad, you know? And it got to a point where we knew who he was. And then, like, I don't know, fast forward to a couple years later, I know he was a server at a restaurant my mom liked. And he was always around there. And I recognized him like, oh, you used to kick my ass in Laser Quest. And he's like, yeah, I guess. You know, he has no idea who I am. He's just like, yeah, I guess you're one of the millions. And then,
he's like, I kicked everyone's ass. You'll have to be more specific.
But in 2014 or 2013 or something, it was probably right before I moved here. I got on Twitch one day, or I got on YouTube first and found one of his Isaac videos. And I was like, I know that guy. And then when I heard him talk, it like kind of clicked back. Oh my God, it's the dude who kicked my ass in Laser Quest and Laser Tag. So
you have nightmares. You have Laser Quest nightmares.
Oh yeah.
Were you shooting? You like, give me all your points, bro.
Just
Absolutely,
wakes up in a cold sweat sometimes.
Bright red blinking lights.
I had a birthday party at Laser Quest one time, and he ruined my birthday. No, I'm kidding.
But it's funny you mention his voice. Like once you heard his voice, because he does have a very distinct voice. I don't know. Like he's been accused of like being a Jack Black impersonator because he like something about like the energy in his voice, just like it's very distinct. So
yeah, maybe I don't know if I mean, everybody says I look like Adam Savage a lot, but usually because I usually have kind of a beard going, and I recently shaved, and so everyone's like, you don't look like it anymore. So it's kind of, we all kind of have that like little thing, you know. It happens.
That's true. I've been told I look like Captain or Mr. Incredible because I have a giant chin. That's about all I have going for me. When I don't have this beard, it's just all Jay Leno right here. I cover it up as best I can, but
Jay Leno without the cool cars.
Yeah, exactly. I got the chin and none of the cars. Thanks a lot, universe. So you mentioned that you work a night shift, and then for a while you would work your night shift, and then you would do something that I wish I had the courage to do, and maybe someday I'll try it. But what is it that you used to do in your spare time?
I used to do stand-up comedy a lot. It's something that, and there's some of my IRL friends back home that experienced the first ever time that I did comedy in Memphis at a place called Poplar Lounge. It was a friend of a friend's birthday, and they had an open mic night, and they were actual comedians doing jokes. And I got up there afterwards and was just like completely drunk, just out of my mind. Did some really dumb jokes, and they were so wasted that they were the only two in the very back of the venue near the pool tables laughing their ass off because of how stupid I was. And once I moved to Austin, I realized there was so much going on comedy-wise. It was every night of the week. There was an open mic. There was a show. Like, you could get booked as long as you just kind of showed up and showed your face. And so I've been doing it for the better part of almost 4 years now. It's taken a backseat because of my Twitch streaming and because of my job. And, you know, it's hard to kind of get out there. You have to really dedicate yourself to it.
Right.
And I think that kind of weighs on you after, like, oh, we'll show up to the open mics 5 nights a week, and then maybe we'll book you on a show. And it's like, that's kind of, it's too much. Like, it should be fun. It shouldn't be, but people do work hard for it, and I can appreciate that. It's a pretty good thing to do.
Part of my problem is I don't live in a place that has a lot of that, like the Central Valley of California. I'd have to go to like LA, or I'd have to go to a bigger city, but I've always wanted to try. I've always, I was the kid in high school that everyone's like, in my yearbook, everybody, you're so funny. And like, but I've never been a guy to tell jokes. I'm just an asshole who likes attention. So I don't know if that would translate on the stage.
It doesn't. It never does.
At least you recognize
everybody
it, right?
could tell me, everybody could tell me, oh, you're really funny. You're funny. You do this and that and whatever. And like the first year of me doing it was me just sucking shit on stage the entire time. So a lot of it came down to me sitting down and actually writing, and writing became the primary part of like, oh, I can write this and kind of twist words around and make this funny.
Or maybe you
could learn that.
You could actually like literally suck shit on stage and turn it into performance art.
Is it the new Gallagher?
That could be your niche. So Josh,
Uh-oh.
We're gonna travel from comedy over to acting.
Yep.
One of the first things you mentioned is that you're an actor.
I am. Yeah, I've done. A lot of the times, like, people will come in and they're like, "What movies have I seen you in?" Like,
I looked you up on IMDb, and there was like 5 Josh Tuckers, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's the most generic white name you've ever met in your entire life.
You gotta change your name.
I think there's already actually a SAG, which is the Screen Actors Guild. There's already either a Josh Tucker or a Joshua Tucker. So I think I've already had to decide that if I do go union, then I'm going to have to be like Josh D. Tucker, or just like completely change it. Just make something weird, like maybe like Jimmy Tucker or whatever. Whatever. I could change the name and get something a little more.
I'll let you have it.
So,
yeah. You mentioned Drama Geek too. So did your passion for acting, or did you start are you actor from day one, like high school? Were you in like the school plays and musicals? Did you pick it up in college? Like when did you find that you this was something that you wanted to do?
So it's a lot of people like don't believe me when I say this, but I was like the skinny, shy, emo goth kid in high school, right? Like and through middle school and all of this, like I hung out with like the misfits because they were the only people that would hang out with me, and I loved them to death. Like they were my people, right? Like but I was so shy. I didn't have like, I was a kid that was picked on. It's kind of like that stereotypical story, right? Like you were picked on as a kid, and then you picked up some weights, right? And then you decided that you're gonna, steal the girls or whatever it may be. And I started doing speech and debate. And speech and debate, in actuality of what it is a lot different than what most people think it is. Like a lot of people think speech and debate, like I'm going to debate abortion, or I'm going to debate this or that. Like we're going to argue back and forth about it. But there's this whole section of it, which is acting, like dramatic humorous interpretation, duet acting, all these kind of like monologues essentially. And I got up and in my first competition and I sucked. I remember like physically shaking, right? Like actively like shaking as I was in front of these people, and they're judging you. Like they've got sheets of paper and they're like, you suck. And they rank you, and they're like, you suck, you're this, you're that, you blah, blah, blah. And so you get ranked 1 through 6, 1 being the best, 6 being the worst. And I went like 6, and like one person gave me a 2. And because I got that 2, I got 6th place in the tournament. And there were people that were lower than me. And I remember like getting that little ribbon, and it was like the first time in my life that I felt accomplished, because like I grew up playing World of Warcraft. I probably have 9,000 hours in Lineage 2, like all these games.
Oh, wow.
And it kind of like hooked me, and I kind of like started falling in love with it. And then through that, I transitioned into, doing school plays. I was about 15 at the time, started transitioning into doing that. And like, you're doing it over and over and over again. So you kind of just get over it, right? It's like eventually at some point, you're just over your nerves, because you're going to drive yourself crazy. There's always that nervous energy. There's always that other things might be happening. But at some point, your body's like, all right, well, you're either shaking or you're done. Like it happens.
Right.
And I went to college. I didn't pursue acting. And then I auditioned for a play in college. I got cast. And then from that point on, when I got cast, I was like, I'm going to go for it. I was like, I'm going to go for it. I did some plays, became a theater major, studied in New York City. I did an off-Broadway show for a bit. I've done some professional Shakespeare, done some national ads. So I've done a lot of little things that kind of add up to a lot, and so to speak. But I'm very lucky with the things I've gotten. That's like the right word to use. But you know, I've auditioned for a lot of big things, but nothing crazy happened. So, you know, if you've watched ESPN, you've probably seen a commercial I'm in or things like that. But nothing bonkers, right? I haven't been in a Matt Damon movie or anything like that, which is what I think people
cross fingers.
Yeah, cross fingers. But I think people equate that as like, oh, well, that's what an actor is, where there's this whole bottom set below that of like industrial work, where like if you get a new job, right? They pay actors a stupid amount of money to make those ridiculously bad sexual harassment videos, like the training videos and all of that. So
yeah, no,
there's to find a video of him sexually harassing somebody somewhere.
I've never done that, but if you I've done like those generic, like this is how you pick up a box. For like major shipping companies and whatnot. So.
Except he picked it up with one arm because he's got those big biceps.
Boom, baby.
So I have a couple follow-up questions to that then. As far as you mentioned that you've done some stage stuff and you've also done some stuff behind the camera. Which do you prefer, do you think?
I prefer film because I'm a very technical actor, and there's a whole nother, like, that's a whole other podcast you can kind of get into, like, of what it takes to be an actor. But in film, there are so many times where like you think an actor or an actress is thinking about something so dramatic, right? They're just thinking about this incredible moment, where in actuality, they're probably like counting to 10. They're probably like just trying not to blink, because when you're framed like this, right? Like those close-up shots, like anything that moves, it's a lot, right? So if you're framed in this and you blink while you're talking, the whole audience is going to be like, why is this guy blinking? Like, stop blinking so much. So I like film because it's so technical. Stage, you have a little more freedom. You have that time to relax and whatnot, but, and there's a lot more money in film also. Like that's.
And just add that on there.
Yeah, that's the main thing. But I think I'm a better film actor than I'm a stage actor. I don't sing. You're never going to hear me sing, seriously. And that's kind of like what theater, like there's that whole subset of theater that's like musical theater, right? I'm not a singer. My wife sings, incredible voice. She's traveled the world singing, blah, blah, blah. For me, that's the only thing I get nervous about. Like no nervous singing. I hate it. I'm damn near tone deaf. Oh my God, it's bad.
What was that, James?
I was like, check off all those Disney films. You can't be in any of those.
Yeah, I know exactly right. I'm never going to be Aladdin.
No, half of the time the person who does the voice doesn't do the singing. Or they used to. They used to like. Always. Yeah, they always have someone else sing the songs. Like one of my favorite songs from a Mulan, the Be a Man. That's a song by Donny Osmond. Like, it's not even, like, you never know who's singing the actual songs unless they're like, huge. But so you don't sing then at all.
No. I dance.
I'm not going to see you as Javert in like Les Miserables or.
No, I mean, I can like character sing, right? Like I can do, like I was Jafar in Aladdin in high school. I've done some chorus stuff, but I just don't sing.
There's some things you just don't. I mean, you don't want to be kind of. You don't want to do it once and then be typecast into that, or be like, oh, that's your roles now. Like, and
like, I mean, typecast. No, I 100. If my acting resume is entirely the douchey frat guy, not even like, it's just a part of it. And that's like, if anybody's listening and they want to be an actor, like that's the number one thing I can recommend is know your type, right? If it doesn't matter, like it sounds bad, but if you're the goofy friend that's kind of overweight, go with it, right? Like that's what you have to go. Like that's like, you have to know your type. You have to know, because that's the number one thing that happens like in acting school, right? Is like a good acting school will tell you your type. They're gonna be like, yeah, you're never gonna be the lead role, right? Unless the lead role is, your type, right? Like think about like Jack Blacks. Think about the McLovins, right? Like all these people that have built roles and made millions of dollars being typecast.
Hey, Jonah Hill is a serious actor.
He is, right? Like he was able to parlay it.
Yeah, But he definitely had a type when he started, and he was able to work his way into other roles. But that's just playing to your strengths, right? Like that's
being a douchey frat guy is my strength, right?
You'd be the guy beating me up in the movie, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
I never beat you up. You're too nice.
So, Chris, I did want to ask you about something. I just became Bill Cosby there for a second. Christopher, you started a Twitch team.
So yeah,
but you're not because you're not partnered. To create a team on Twitch, you have to be partnered.
Absolutely,
but you're not partnered. But you created Clever Nation, so I kind of want to know.
We'll get into that.
But you run the team though, right? It's called Clever Nation.
Yeah. So Woxley is actually a partner, and she's a friend of mine. And so what I did was initially my Discord was mine. It was for ChristopherClever, the Twitch streamer kind of Discord. And I started noticing that we have friends of ours that have been in multiple communities before, and a lot of the Discords that people run are for their own Twitch channels, and they're kind of dead. And I decided to turn my Discord into like a community and say, hey, let's make this about we and us instead of just me. And everybody can promote their stream there. You can come in even if you're a new streamer or you're a tenured streamer and come in. And we decided to kind of all together build this group of friends. I call it the comfy couch of Twitch community. Like it's basically we're all kind of just friends hanging out. We raid each other, we host each other, we support each other, even if we just leave a lurk in others' channels and stuff to get their numbers up. And it's just kind of this boosting mentality to try to get everybody kind of on the same page. And Woxley is a good friend of mine and a Twitch partner, a recent Twitch partner. And she was like, hey, I really like what you're doing with the community. I know I haven't been a part of it a lot, but I really like what you're doing, and you're doing it the right way, as opposed to the pyramid scheme, somebody sitting at the top and saying, you have to follow me to join my community, that kind of thing. She was like, I'll offer you the Twitch team. So it's kind of partly a community for people to join. And then the more, I guess, the more that we see people kind of support and come in and really, really help others and kind of be selfless, then they can kind of apply to the Twitch team and kind of have that official stamp of Clever Nation under their stream. So it's kind of a double thing. But it's been super successful so far. We're still a little bit small, but I mean, it's all full of growing streamers that they put in the freaking work, man, and it's really good. So I think that any streamer looking to just kind of get a few more views and to also make friends, it's a really good way to do it.
So how long after I join do you mail me my complimentary cleaver?
Maybe a week. We'll see.
Okay. I really want my cleaver. That's cool though, man. The whole team thing is interesting because when you start to like put people together, a lot of people come in with kind of different expectations, and sometimes it's hard to kind of get when we formed DLC, a few people have actually left since we started because they felt that we weren't doing enough, that we weren't active enough and things. And so it's interesting when you put a bunch of people together, everyone has different expectations, and it's cool that you've been able to build such a laid back kind of cool, like you said, the whole couch thing. Everyone seems, I haven't been a part of your community for very long. I was introduced to it by that Bishop girl, and so far I felt very welcome. You were super cool when I messaged you about being on the podcast, and it's been really cool. I really appreciate what you're doing, and I think there needs to be more just positive kind of outreach and community. I always tell people it's not a competition, man. Everybody has something.
That's super huge because we do have people that come in and some people expect more than others, and they come in expecting that. And I think a lot of people are kind of hit in the face with more of the friendliness, and kind of they're like, this is what it's about. It's not me just promoting my channel over and over and over and over and see what happens. It's now now you're saying hi and you're sharing memes and doing dumb shit in the Discord, and it kind of becomes this, now these are people that I actually care about and actually do want to watch their streams, and then in turn they come to yours, and it's kind of like this, you kind of have to create that rapport with people. You can't just spam a link and expect things. And I think my goal with it is to have, I mean, we have a couple of different community managers, and they're all different personalities, and they all kind of do things a little bit differently, but it's just enough where we can kind of have a tribunal where we sit down and talk about things. If someone comes in like that, we can always message them and say, hey, I'm willing to throw you on the community streamer list and throw you on the website. We've got a clevernation.net/live where you can see any of our streamers live. But in order to get that kind of community streamer role, it's very important to kind of come in and introduce yourself and make friends and be personable, not, just come in, spam your link and leave. And we have a lot of those, but it happens,
Yeah.
It's good Twitch etiquette to kind of network.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when, news articles go out about Ninja making $500,000 a year, there's going to be opportunists, right? There's going to be people who say, oh, what? There's money in this? And they're just going to hit start streaming on OBS and hope they make $1 million and start spamming their links everywhere and stuff, right? There's definitely that. There's people who just see the money and the opportunity and try and jump on it, and they don't really genuinely care about the whole social aspect of what's going on underneath, so that's cool that you have been able to cultivate that. I don't know, it's cool.
Yeah, we're trying to stick to us as a group, and I don't want it to ever become a clique. I don't want it to ever become a thing where people don't feel welcome, and that's the whole goal is no matter how new or tenured you are, you're going to be a part of us as long as you just follow the rules and hang out, and I don't see any problem with it. So I don't foresee any problem with it, so hopefully it doesn't I don't know. There are some communities that, I'm not going to talk shit about anybody on Twitch or any communities on Twitch or anything like that, but there are some that I've seen that started as, hey, we're just a couple of friends, and now it's, hey, follow for follow, and, there's a lot of these, and anybody listening that's trying it out on Twitch, try to make friends one at a time. Don't go off and try to, do this follow for follow business. It's not going to work. You end up getting a bunch of numbers, sure, but nobody comes back to your stream. It's not going to happen. And you have to really, really have good content. That's the best advice I could give you. Have good content. Bring people back that way.
Content is king. Absolutely. Yeah. No.
90% of it is content.
You can't beat it, right?
Even
I think gimmicks might work here and there, but at the end of the day, it's true. I mean, content really is king. You can't. Not saying that there aren't other things that would be lucky or things that might fall in your favor, or people might host you or people might raid you, but it's you can get raided every day, and if they don't like your content, they're never going to come back, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you have to earn it yourself, and it's one of those things where our community is not a band-aid for that. If you're not already getting views or you're not already interacting with the chat, if somebody comes in and you don't talk to them or you don't interact, they're not going to come back. And joining a community, whether it's mine or anybody else's, our community is there to kind of help boost your confidence, make friends. We're going to be there to support you. If you have a bad day, we have a venting channel in the Discord where you can come in and just say you had a bad day. And we're always going to spam you with emotes and be like, hey, we totally, we love you. We'll show up tomorrow and kind of give you a better day. And it's about that. It's not about, it's just one of those things that people have high expectations. And sometimes it's just, you have to do it naturally. You can't grow unnaturally on Twitch or it's not going to work.
Especially when you're dealing with people that you're interacting with directly. So if they don't like you and what you're doing, they're not going to come back, and you can't force people to like you.
Well, absolutely. I've also seen people that, we're not even going to talk about the view botting experience that I've seen, but there's also people that will do the, hey, follow for follow, you support me, I support you, I promise. And they get 10,000 followers and they get partner. And then all of a sudden, all those people who tried to do the partner push with you and tried to raid with you and all this stuff, they never gave a shit about your channel. They don't come back. And then you end up sitting with 5 views a day and you're a partner. And it's well, you didn't really grow naturally. You didn't make friends. You just kind of got the average up and you slipped through the cracks, so to speak. And so it's not, partner is not make or break you. I don't care if I ever get partner. I just want to make sure that I have a community that's going to not only support me, but support everybody else in my chat, everybody else that's kind of coming in and trying the Twitch thing. And even if you're day one, we want to try to teach you the proper Twitch etiquette, how to make friends, and not how to, even if you do selfless things, when people raid, they don't realize that, they'll host Ninja every freaking day of the week. I'm serious. It's kind of a teaching point. Like, we love Ninja too. Go to Ninja's stream. I'm not taking any viewers away from him, but host somebody who's like you, who like kind of stick within your range of like, hey, this is a cool girl who's streaming over here and she's playing Outlast and getting scared and it's fun. I'm going to host her and give her a couple views. And then the next day she's going to do it back to you. So it's like, you guys kind of have a thing now. It's like, you know, you're supporting other people. And you just be selfless and you'll actually get rewarded somehow. It's just along the way. It's just kind of how it works.
Yeah. I mean, you can't like your motivation for doing things. People have a sixth sense. Like, you know, you can tell no matter how good of an actor you are, eventually, you know, someone's true intentions are going to come through.
Oh yeah.
You can only fake it for so long. You know, after years of streaming, the persona is going to fall away and people are going to be able to tell if you actually give a shit or not, right? Like I you know, bringing it back around to Cobalt, that's something he mentioned before. He said, you know, when he first started streaming and there, you know, people had these personas and stuff. He said, even I had at first was like, you try and have this whole high energy thing and like blah, blah, blah. And he's like, eventually when you've been doing it for that long and you know, it's just the real you will eventually shine through. I mean, unless your stick is a persona, unless you're cardboard cowboy.
I love that dude.
Oh, I love
him. I heard he was going to TwitchCon, and I'm so excited about it. He's so great.
But you know, unless you're playing a character, eventually people are going to see your true colors, right? And you can't pretend to be a good person, right? Like people will see, oh, he's just doing it for views. Oh, he's just doing it for money. Oh, he's just, you know. You have to have some genuine like desire to want to do this, to do it for, you know, that's why you see so many people fall off too, you know. I know a number of people who, you know, when I started, you know, they started around the same time and they lasted a few months and they're like, oh, no one watched my stream, so I gave up and moved on to something else, you know, like.
if you can't handle talking to yourself, Twitch is not the
yeah, right.
Yeah, I know it's
unless you're coming from like somebody famous or something like that. Like, I mean, yeah, there's always those anomalies, right? Like there are people who are immediately start out. They get like people, they're either A, a better broadcaster, or B, they're playing the right game, or C, it just works, right? Yeah. Like sometimes it just works for somebody. Like, and that's the number one thing is like, you got to, I was talking to a good friend of mine today and he's a broadcaster on Twitch and, you know, I'm not going to say his name or anything like that, but he's talking about like he's struggling, right? Like he had just almost reached partnership. He was like at 73 viewers, right? And he was, and he fell short of it. And he was talking about how like it was like he felt so upset. Like he was literally told me, he was like, yeah, I cried in my office. It's because I felt like I had let everybody down. And I was like, bro, like it's your journey, right? Like if you had X amount of viewers, grind it out in 6 months, you might have double that, right? And then so it's
if you're already there, you're gonna get there. It's
you just gotta
you just have the partnership is not going to change who you are. It's not going to change your audience. They're going to stay.
It's like it's a tool, and that's one thing. Like, you know, you've talked about Cobalt a couple of times, and Cobalt's a very good friend of mine, and that's one of the first things he told me. He's like, dude, he's like, it's a tool, right? Like it kind of gets you in the doors in some regards. Like, of course, like there are partner only parties, and there are things like that, and like of course, like somebody might take you more seriously in a business setting. But like at the end of the day, a partner, nobody's going to streams and saying you're partnered. I'm watching you because you're partnered. No, like content's king, right? They're going to watch you because they like you. They're going to watch you because of, you know, something around that way, something else, right?
Yeah, and it's like exactly the opposite too. There are people out there that only watch you if you're small. Like once you, like they don't even look at the larger streamers because all they want to do is support the smaller people.
Yeah, and I know people that you're always going to lose people when you grow because there are those people that just want literal one-on-one interaction.
That's true. Yeah,
and you can't get that. You can't. That's not realistic. And
the hip there, I call him. It's kind of a joke, and I appreciate every viewer, but I call him hipster viewers. It's like, oh, I liked him before he was big. You know, like back when he only had 5 viewers and he used to answer all my questions. You know, like. Mm-hmm. Some people they look for those streams. I have a few people in my community that admit that. They're like, I like hanging out here because I know that when I ask you a question, you're going to respond. And, you know, I do worry about that. You know, if I do grow or the podcast, you know, whatever happens, I mostly do this as, you know, for fun on the side. It's kind of a hobby outside of my day job. But if I do end up growing, I hope those people stick around, but some of them probably won't. And that's just the nature of the beast, you know?
Twitch is a 100% a revolving door.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, people are going to stay. You're going to get... And that's one thing that is so stressful and so, like, nerve-wracking and so exciting about Twitch is, like, you literally never know what's going to happen. Okay? Like, you could look at that as, like, if somebody is a streamer... and it's their full-time job, they don't know if somebody's going to come in there and gift 100 community subs, right? And then suddenly you've got this little boost of income, right? You don't know.
Yeah, or next month you may not have any subs. It can be volatile, and you have to be very careful about that. But at the same time, if you just stream and have a good time and you don't worry about it, which is what a lot of the people who I know have kind of made it to that level, they're just like, hey, I mean, I may not make rent this month, but I'm going to, you know, keep on trucking. And the next thing you know, somebody comes in and does gift 50 subs or something. And it's kind of nuts. It's like, it's a crowd-funded job, so to speak.
Yeah, there's really been nothing, not that I know of, right? Like, you know, when this whole resurgence of Twitch, you know, we're seeing Twitch on national headlines. We're seeing Ninja being interviewed by
ESPN.
You know, ESPN. We've got Samsung commercials of Ninja and Daquan on them. And we're definitely like, it's a scary time, but it's an exciting time for Twitch as well, because like what Twitch looks like in a year is going to be entirely different than what Twitch looks like right now.
Oh yeah.
Whether that is with like major companies coming out to play, whether that's more tournaments happening, like the infrastructure on Twitch, I guarantee it is going to be bonkers different in a year or so. It has to. It's growing so fast.
Meshyf speculates that the logo will be yellow a year from now.
There's a little sunflower by it. Like, okay.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, I could sit here and talk about Twitch all night. I did have a couple more questions for you guys individually, though. So, Josh, along with being an actor, and you know, you've mentioned on some of your social media that you do you still work for Good Morning Memphis or whatever it is?
So I am I'm a local fill-in for one of the TV stations here in Memphis.
And you do the weather?
I do the traffic.
Oh, traffic. That's right.
But I work there without like too much detail, but I work there also. But if the stars align and they need to get some goob on the screen, right, they let me, because I was a full-time not full-time traffic, but I was a full-time TV reporter for a little stint.
Nice.
Chase some pretty crazy stories. So
yeah. And then along with that, so was the personal trainer stuff before or after all that, or was like kind of during? Is that something
personal training was like a means to eat while I was pursuing full-time acting, because I was in school, I was acting, and so it kind of just worked out that I was in the gym so much, and then I ended up being able to just kind of parlay that into a part-time job. I did it for about 5 years, and I bounced around from having having my own studio, but I worked out of my dance studio that I was dancing out of, and then they had a little gym in there. So I trained people out of there. I worked at some major gyms, and then it kind of parlayed into Twitch and kind of doing all of that. And then things took a major, like life took a backseat to Twitch, right? I was like, go. And then I was on Twitch for about a year. Then I was like, all right, I'm done. I was burned out. You know, it happens. If you spend X amount of hours and things like that, I was ready to kind of find out the next chapter. And the next chapter for me was TV reporting. And then I got there and it was kind of like, man, I miss Twitch. Like I really miss Twitch. And then I decided to come back, and I've been loving it ever since.
Caboose says the 4chan raid broke you. Did you?
Yeah.
What do you care to explain or elaborate on that? Or?
So he's not there. it was funny. You were talking about like the trolls, right? So, and I started at like one of the most toxic communities when it comes to like trolls. I was a DayZ streamer for full time for about a year, and it was rampant with hackers. And yeah, one day I was raided by 4chan twice. Once, and they came in one time. They told me they posted on 4chan that I was about to kill myself. And so people came in and were like, "Here we go. We're gonna watch this guy kill himself on Twitch."
What the hell?
And I had like
it's not
7,000.
to help him. It's we gotta watch this.
So you
you're
100%. A bunch of people just showed up to watch you kill yourself.
They're like, and it's one of those things like, what do you do, right? Like you look at it one way of I've got all these people. So you gotta kind of.
I have to entertain them. What do I do?
You have to entertain them, and then one time, so that was one, and then the second time. They came in and were saying a bunch of trolly stuff, and they were like, "We'll leave if you put a shoe on top of your head."
Ah, the old shoe on the head.
Yeah, the old shoe. And then I did. I played along, and lo and behold, they left. And I think I still have like 1 or 2 viewers who came over from one of the 4chan raids. Right?
Wow.
I retained. It wasn't all negative, and it was never like you can't take anything seriously on Twitch, right? Like that sucks, but it's like. If you're on the internet and you're opening yourself up to anybody talking to you, kind of got to have thick skin.
Absolutely.
Right? They're gonna say really bad stuff. They're gonna go straight to your core. Like they're gonna try to hurt you, and you gotta be made of kryptonite or steel or something.
Right.
So,
by the way, Chris, is that Deschutes fresh squeezed?
That is yeah.
Is that you have good taste, sir? I love that beer. It's tasty.
I'm gonna be honest. I wanted a different beer, but Walgreens is
blasphemy.
No. I love this beer, but when I saw this, I was like, I have to get that.
Josh Tucker, do you drink alcohol at all, or is your body a temple?
My body is a temple, but I'm a gin guy, right? Like,
there you go.
I'm a gin guy. I like beer. I like wine, but I'm a wine and a gin drinker. I will have a beer, but I'm not real big on just like having a beer with dinner. If I'm like drinking, right, like I'm drinking. Like
if you're drinking, you're trying to get somewhere.
Yeah, we're trying. There's an end of the road there, so to speak.
Sure, makes sense. Gotcha.
So.
And James is too young to drink.
I got my water. I pretty much only drink water as well. So I mean, if I had the option, I probably still wouldn't drink. Water's free. Everything else isn't.
Is it free though? Everywhere I go, it's like $2.99 a bottle.
I don't know. I fill up right at the tap.
No.
We're gonna get in trouble at TwitchCon, James.
Uh-oh.
I'm just kidding. No, it's bad. By the way, one last thing, Josh, and then I have a couple of quick fire questions for both of you before we get to the beefs. Josh, you have a verified Twitter account.
I do.
Cool. That's some shit.
Yeah,
it does the weather.
It's
traffic, bitch. He said traffic.
It's something that is like it's people like it and it's like a big deal, but people have been mad at me that I have a verified Twitter because they'll be like, "Well, I have X amount of 1,000 followers. Why are you verified?" And it's just.
Because I didn't DM everybody and demand they follow me.
Exactly. It wasn't a follower for follower. Yeah, no, it's just Twitter verifies people based on, and journalists fall under that. So when I was a full-time TV reporter,
yeah,
I was tweeting out breaking news. I was live from scenes. I covered everything from homicides, to church shootings, to a plane with Marines falling out of the sky and everybody being killed in it. So and they just want to it's Twitter's way of verifying that I am who I says I am, right? And they just
I am who I am, and that's all that I am.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a way, and now they haven't taken away yet. So, and I still do traffic. I still do things here and there. I still try to do other stuff. So it's not just me slamming my Twitch link down people who used to follow me because of news related, but here we are.
But
it's funny how a little badge changes everyone's perception. They're like,
isn't it though?
Verified Twitter? Or it's like when you see the verified button and someone in chat, you're like, oh, who's that guy?
Yeah, you're not wrong there. Like Neuro, when I followed him, he even said, he was like, because there's a lot of those Twitter, there's verified Twitter accounts that are like following 500,000 people, and they're, you know, have 500,000 followers, right? Like, and they're some random account, and he was like, oh, I thought it was just one of those, and then I clicked on it, and he's like, you're a human. And I was like, yeah, yeah, like, and that's how I met Neuro, and you know how I kind of gets plugged in. So
yeah, well, yeah, you and Neuro are both big on the fitness.
Yeah, we hit the gym every now and then. I think we're gonna get swole at TwitchCon together. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Swole bros for life.
Exactly.
You can lift me because I'm gonna be shit hammered.
Yeah, we're gonna need a few designated lifters.
My forklift.
That's why James is staying with me. He's gonna be my DD for the weekend. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you. I'll get an Uber.
Walks in, you just hand your car keys over. Right. I guess this is what we're doing now.
I don't got a license, but I'll do my best.
Do you not have a driver's license, James?
I don't. In high school,
I was
like, as soon as I hit 16, I want to get my license. And then at 16, it's like, I don't have time to get a license. I was doing tennis 3 hours a day, followed right by academic decathlon. So I just never had the time to do it.
I mean, I didn't get my license until I was 21, so I'm not going to blame you there.
Mm-hmm.
I was just playing WoW. That's let's be honest.
See, I'm in my room all the time. Why do I need a license?
No.
It's really bad here in Vermont, though. Everything's in walking distance, so it's like, why do I need a license here?
I could see that. I mean, there's a lot of people in Austin that bike and do stuff, and there's a lot of people that don't. I met a girl a couple of years ago just rode to a date on a bike, and I was like, okay. I mean, do you want me to take you home? No, I got it. It's fine. I just, you don't have a license? No, it happens. I think where you lived, it makes it easier in some places than others. If you live in the cornfields of Utah or something, I don't know if it's cornfield.
Yeah, no, that's my situation because I live in Central California. Everything's so spread out, like in the Central Valley.
Yeah.
Like if you were to live in LA or San Francisco or, you know, one of those areas, the public transit's better. But like actually LA, the public transit is pretty terrible too. Like you kind of have to own a car in California to get anywhere. So it kind of changes the equation. I was that guy that got I wasn't the guy that got my driver's license on my 16th birthday because I failed my first driving tests. But the second time around, I aced that bitch. So, 16 and 2 weeks. I think they made me wait a couple weeks before I could take it again. But I had my driver's license for most of high school because it was just like, to me, that was freedom. That was like, I can go anywhere and do anything now. And my best friend moved to Pasadena, like after we were best friends our entire lives. And then his mom passed away and he was forced to move in with his dad in Pasadena, which was like 2 or 3 hours away. So like that was a big motivation for me to get my driver's license. So that I would drive up and spend my summers with him. So that was like, I have to get my driver's license. My best friend. Gotta go chill with him. So, James, did you get my DM?
I did, yeah.
All right. So,
what kind of questions are these, Jimmy?
These are the quick fire questions that I always ask.
Like I've never seen this list before, so now it's like here. It's like, wait, you always ask these?
I pick from the list. We have a list of like kind of just quick questions that we like to ask right before the break. Do you wanna pick some of those out for them? Anything you're interested in asking?
Sure.
Porn star names. No.
Yeah, the one I always like hearing. We're going to go with Chris first and then Josh. Room, desk, and car. Which one do you clean first and why? And I can see your desk, Chris, so.
I'm gonna say room. Just because, I mean, if you have guests over, specifically my girlfriend, it's probably a good idea to have the room clean. The desk, she understands because I stream, and the car, I mean, you know, we'll take an Uber downtown to drink, so it's fine. I think it's always keep the room clean. Always keep a bed made, laundry done. It's a good idea. That's my answer.
Mm-hmm. All right, and Josh, same question.
I mean,
room and car.
room, but only because like my wife is coming through like a blaze of glory. You think I'm joking? Like, I am not a very clean person. Like, I'm not like stacking dishes, but I'm the guy that like rips off his pants, walks inside, throws it on the couch, like will leave a cup out. And she is very, very clean oriented. And so like that's point of contention. So if I at my desk, like it's covered in magic cards.
I just want to point out that earlier on, I watched Josh's stream earlier, and there was a moment where he walked away and he came back and he left the mic on, and I could hear his wife going, "Josh, why did you leave his washcloths in the closet?" Like in the
yeah, no, 100%.
So yeah,
calling him out.
The room, no, it happens, right? Like she's got an emote in my channel, like, but I love her to death and bless her heart for dealing with meal preps for me. She cooks for me, everything. But yeah, at the end of the day, she would not. My stream wouldn't happen without her, and so I'm cleaning the room because the desk and the car are already dirty.
Let's be honest, Josh. That's why we have green screens, right?
Oh yeah, 100%, right? 100%.
Nice.
Just piles of skeletons back there. Like, all right.
Yeah, I have a green screen because my desk is in my living room. Like behind me is a couch and a TV, and like Lady Navio's hanging out behind the screen half the time. So, all right, James.
Oh, you want me to ask?
I put James in charge of the quickfire questions this week. I want to hear his sexy voice more.
Yeah, we
often.
didn't talk about this earlier, so I was like, wait, who's adding this right now? Ooh, that's a good one. All right, Chris, what the fuck? If there's a sound that when you hear it elicits an emotion, what would you say is that sound?
This is probably me and about a million other people in the world, but can it be a word? Because the word moist makes me cringe so much. I know that I'm not the only one. Everybody gets, and I've said it before on stream as a joke, but then even after I like, why did I say that?
We had a guest on a couple of weeks ago. Her name was Tropical Moisture.
I did. I actually watched that. Yeah.
And we did talk about that.
Yeah, we talked about
very polarizing.
The whole time I was like, it's like, can you just like change your name to Tropical Manure, please? I think it would be better. No.
Whenever I refer to her, I always say trophy. I'm like, I'm not gonna say moist. That's just weird. She once had the idea of calling the subs the Moist Boys, and I was like, if you do that,
yes,
the Moist Boys.
I was like, I can't do that.
It's I don't know what it is, man. It's just a weird. It just makes me think of like swamp ass for some reason, like sweaty summer, just like gross. I don't know what it is. It just that's what. It elicits an emotion of fear and anger and disgust. That's pretty much a combination of the three.
Like almost wet, but just like sticky.
Yeah, just like kind of more slimy than anything. I don't know.
I never hear that word in a good connotation.
It doesn't happen.
What about cake?
See, that's the only one, but no one ever calls a cake like, oh, this is a very moist cake. I enjoy this. They never say that.
Mr. Tres Leches over here. That's a very moist cake.
It is, but see, I'm not always talking about cake.
That's true. I guess that is the rare one-off. What about you, Josh? Is there a sound that triggers you, takes you back to him?
I hate the sound of styrofoam, like rubbing together.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And that's like, a lot doesn't bother me. It's like that noise and then like hearing my dog chew on something, right? Like that's like, Groot! Like, what do you have? Like, what do you have? So, but it's definitely like, just for the sake of the question, like that styrofoam, like ripping, can't do it. No.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I'm over it.
It's like scraping a fork onto a plate. It's just those sounds.
Yeah, I hate it.
Someone else said when your teeth hit the fork or like rubs against the fork, like when you take a bite, like teeth on metal.
See that? That's probably only cringy for yourself though, unless somebody's just really like hammered it in there. That seems somebody's gonna make a GIF of that now, and it's gonna.
All right,
the content is made.
Let's do it.
So I'm gonna ask one. This is for both of you. Josh, you first this time. Actually, what's your favorite curse word?
Favorite curse word? I don't know if it's considered a curse word, but and I'm really into it right now. I can't say that. I shouldn't say that.
Say it.
No, because it's not even. I'm just like I said I'm into it. And it was like confirmed. I've been saying cuck a lot.
Cuck, yeah,
Cuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know if that's a true like cuss word or not, but that's like.
I think that's Cobalt rubbing off on you. He used to say that all the time. He would say it sarcastically, like jokingly.
I don't know if it's him. I think it's just like I run a relatively PG-13 stream, right? But I was that way even before. If anything, it's just bringing out. It's bringing out the true colors, I guess, right?
True. That's a good one. What about you?
Sometimes people rub off on you too, because like my girlfriend says the word dope a lot, and now I'm like saying, "Oh, that's fucking dope." Like,
that's true.
And I hear it in my head, and I say it, and then I realize it, and I'm like, I should stop saying that word so much. I'm gonna say it. I've never. I don't know. I feel like the word "cunt" is very funny. It's one of those, like I don't call people individually that. It's just funny to just say in general, like when I'm in traffic, like, oh, these fucking cunts in traffic. It's just like a good, nice word. It's not a nice word. It's a fun cuss word, but you know.
That one's a popular choice on the show. You're the second or third person that's used that one. I love it when like British people or Europeans, like there's certain people that say it just right, where they just they just get that punch.
Australians, I know a lot of Australians who just like these fucking cunts, and I'm like, that's so good. It's just like that's where I get it from. It's just hearing other people say it like that. It seems very a very wholesome, kind of curse word.
Yeah, no, it's solid. It definitely cuck and cunt. Those are both solid choices.
Cucky cunt.
Mm-hmm.
And moist.
Jimmy, no.
So Josh Tucker, why is CrossFit trash?
So I don't like CrossFit because.
Did you assume that, or did you like look into it before?
No, that's my new question is why is blank trash? And I knew if I put CrossFit in that blank, I'd get a response.
I think CrossFit is, and I've talked to a lot of orthopedic doctors that this is not just me talking out of my butt, but like, I just feel like a lot of times it's not done in a safe environment, and there's a lot of injuries associated with it. Like that is just a fact. Like I'm not saying that CrossFit will not get you in shape. I'm not saying that there aren't incredible athletes, but like taking some average Joe and putting them through the ringer of CrossFit, even like some of the early levels, like there's a lot of injuries associated with it. And so like, do I think if CrossFit works for you, that's great. But that is, if you just put a definitive statement of why is CrossFit trash, like that would be why I consider CrossFit trash.
I don't even really, I'm not an expert at working out or anything, but I've been to the gym enough to know that like and you can probably confirm this, Josh, but like a lot of times when you do, especially heavy lifting, like you have to take a break and kind of rest a bit. You have to let your body kind of readjust for a couple minutes or whatever. And I see a lot of people will go in and they'll just do these pull-ups that are like, and I'm like, what are you doing? And that's
it's
like
hard on your joints. Like there's no other way around it.
It's like that GIF where it's like, oh, he's gonna do 50 pull-ups, and he's like doing the thing, and there's a counter, and every time
it's like zero. Yeah.
Isn't there a name for those? They're not even real pull-ups. They're called like kipping or something, right?
Yeah, I like kipping pull-ups. I think.
Yeah,
it's just weird about them.
Shake weight. That's I don't understand it. It's not my thing. I don't know.
Oh, by the way, I'll be mailing you your complimentary shake weights as guests on the Hit the Bucket podcast.
Is it signed and gently used?
No, rigorously used for sure.
Okay,
I put some time into it. It may come moist package.
Even better.
So, Chris, last question for you, unless James wants to pull anything else off of our super secret list. Going back to stand up a little bit, since you have done it enough times to have some experience, if you had like 3 do's and don'ts of like getting on a stage in front of people and telling jokes, if there's any like in your first couple months or like after doing it for so long, like just right off the bat, what are some quick mistakes that I can avoid if I were to get up on a stage?
So The do's, I would say, are probably to sit down and write your jokes out and why you think they're funny, and really get intricate with them. Like, try to, find out what word is funniest. Go to open mics, like, do your thing. Say it a different way at every open mic. Like, if you have, 2 or 3 open mics in a week, say your joke a different way at every open mic. I would say leave pauses in between, your joke and the punchline a bit, so you kind of let the audience kind of get their laughs in. But the don'ts, for sure, I see this a lot in the open mic comedy community. There are a lot of people that get up there, mostly dudes, let's be honest. They get up there and they just start, my ex-girlfriend's a fucking bitch. And it's like, okay, wow, that's not even...
It's like,
wait, it just becomes this kind of like rambling rant, and there's no punchline. It's just, my friends thought that was funny. I slut-shamed her on stage. And it's like, there's a lot of like guys who do that where it's not even just that, it's just the edgy kind of like, if you think something's edgy, oh, I'm gonna make a 9/11 joke for my first set ever. It's like, come on. Like, I understand that, you see people like Louis C.K. do it, and other people, you see these kind of established comics get into an HBO special. Well, they took 2 years of trying out that material and perfecting it to make it funny.
All the nuance.
But they also had an audience of 350 to 1,000 people to test it on every night. So you're doing it in front of 10 people and you're making a joke about, something sexist or racist, and it's like, just try to avoid anything like that. Try to start wholesome. It doesn't have to necessarily be clean, but I mean, even if you want to make a dick joke, do it, but make sure that it's actually funny and not just
I have a dick.
Yeah. I mean, people do it.
Yeah,
I've seen people make small dick jokes so many times on stage for their first ever time in an open mic, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I get it that you're doing the self-deprecating thing, but it's not very funny, and it's not. It just seems everybody's just kind of like, okay,
yeah, it's just
like,
kind
that
of
was
sad.
a statement. Yeah, it wasn't even a punchline. So yeah, I mean, I don't really. There's no real way that anybody can teach you how to write jokes. You just have to kind of sit down and write. And like whether you're into clean comedy or dirty comedy, one of the starting comics, or one of the comics that I would say to start looking at, is like you can look at Bo Burnham, not his musical comedy, it's funny, but his actual jokes. Like he did this joke where he said, my ex-girlfriend used to have this really weird fetish where she used to dress up like herself and act like a fucking bitch all the time. And like, it's a funny joke because it twists it at the end. It's like, you don't really know where he's going with it. And then it kind of turns it into, oh, this guy's bitter. It's kind of,
he's essentially saying the same thing as the other guy, but he's doing it in a way that's creative and funny.
Yeah,
and like,
you set up an expectation, but then you flip it. Absolutely. And that's what makes it funny.
Anthony Jeselnik, he's a very offensive comic, but he's written most of the roasts on Comedy Central, but he does the same things. Stephen Wright is a good example of that. Anybody that does one-liners, it's really good to look at a one-liner and find out how they piece the joke together.
R.I.P. Mitch Hedberg.
Absolutely. Mitch Hedberg is pretty much one of my all-time favorites. Rip apart one of their jokes, like write it down word for word and like space it apart. Find out when he pauses, find out how he pauses, find out how he puts an accent on certain words or certain letter. And like, you realize that if he said it in a different way, then the joke gets butchered.
Right.
And so there's so much that goes into it. It's not just, I mean, I've seen comics that kill, in one venue, go to another and they do the joke slightly different. And suddenly it's not funny anymore. And it's like, you don't laugh because the audience isn't laughing. And it's a very contagious thing. So
sure.
I would say come up with a solid 5 minutes of material and write it down and work on it and keep doing the same material for a couple months. Keep doing the same 5 minutes. Every time you go in, do the same 5 minutes and try it in a different way. It's repetition, and eventually you get it to where that's a solid 5 minutes instead of just something you threw together. So and that would be my advice.
So that'd be some do's, and the don'ts I think I picked out of there were don't necessarily go for the shock, crass, cheap laughs, right?
Not in the beginning. I feel like because I did that. I made really dumb, shitty jokes. Nothing like crazy offensive, but just stuff that was like, like necrophilia. And like, I would just come up with this, I'm going to make this stupid necrophilia joke and it's going to be so funny. And then it's just like dead in the water. And then I just look like a necrophiliac and everyone's
and then she put it in my butt.
Yeah, exactly. So then it just becomes this, this guy thinks he's funny. And, the harder you fall, really. So I would say start small. You know, you can relate jokes to life, you know, wife, kids, if you have them. If you don't, you know, think of stuff at your job. I don't remember who it was that said this. I think it might have been, I don't remember it was a bigger comic a long time ago. It was Christopher Titus, who used to have the show Titus.
I remember that guy.
He's actually really funny live.
Yeah.
Like, he's hilarious. But he was on a radio show once. I think it was Opie and Anthony, and he said, "Hey, here's what you do. Write down something tragic or like in your life, not something like, you know, 9/11 type terrorist attack, but like your life. Write something tragic, like a girlfriend breaking up with you or whatever, and write it out. And the more serious, the better. And then go through that writing over and over and over again for the next like couple of weeks and rewrite it until it's funny. Like add stuff in, add exaggerations here and there, like make things." And he's like, "That's how I made my comedy, and it's a success and it's funny."
That's an interesting approach. I hadn't really thought that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you don't take something that's already funny. You take something that's very serious, and then you take it and go, "Oh, now I'm gonna do this with it," and people are gonna be
change
involved.
The angle on it or whatever.
Do I know?
No, I was saying just kind of like change the angle. Like take the same situation and twist it.
Yeah, exactly. You change the way you look at it, and it changes your perspective too, and it becomes funny. So
it's almost therapy in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's something a lot of people don't think about too when it comes to comedy. The work and preparation that goes into it. They just think like, "Oh, well, I make my friends laugh, like so I can do this." And then, sure,
there's always
making your friends laugh is one thing, but making a group of strangers laugh, that's like an entire.
Because it's situational. If you're with your friends, you know their sense of humor. You can kind of tap into that. I mean, it's the same way. Like, I have a joke that I do. I actually showed my. It's such a terrible video, but maybe that's just me being self-deprecating. But there's a joke that I do, and it hits kind of the young crowd, but it also hits a lot of older people. And when I say older people, I mean like 30s and up usually because of this, because it makes a reference, and maybe you'll get it. But the joke is that I ghosted a girl recently, and I feel really bad about it. And for those of you that don't know what ghosting is, it's this weird phenomenon in the dating world where you're talking to somebody, you're interested, you know, but then you just break into her apartment and make pottery.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's an old Patrick Swayze throwback. But for some reason, when I told that joke, I opened with it in that video I sent you, and it's like 200 people, and I was so nervous. And then when I said that punchline, the entire room roared, and I was like, "Okay, well, I'm okay now." Like that's
nice. Yeah.
So sometimes you just have to like play into, you know, kind of flipping it and play into what age your crowd's going to be or who they are, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends.
All right, so we're gonna get to our Jumbotron James here. We're about halfway in, but real quick, without thinking too much about it, I got one more real quick question, and then we're gonna get to our Jumbotron James, and we'll take a short break. And when we come back, we got some hot fresh beef from Meshyf. So Christopher, don't think too hard about it. Just first thing that comes to mind. What are you not very good at?
Auto mechanics.
Yeah,
that's the first thing that popped in mind. When my car takes a shit, I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Straight to the shop.
Yep.
Nice. Josh, what are you not very good at?
Singing. We were talking about it. Singing right off the bat.
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Come on.
There we go.
You got it in you.
Definitely not.
I'll give you vocal lessons if you want.
It's just another skill you got to develop.
I know, right? I feel like I got to go write out my comedy now also.
Yeah, I know. Got some good pointers. I'll give you...
Put it together, you're Bo Burnham.
Yeah. Josh, I'll give you vocal lessons. You give me Magic the Gathering lessons, and we'll...
Okay, swing for lethal, always win.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure you'll teach me. All right, James, I think it is time for for those who don't know, we have a segment on the show called Jumbotron James. People can submit messages for James to read live on the podcast. Could be a message to a significant other, could be an advertisement, it could just be you wanting James to read some fucked up stuff, which I think we have one of those tonight. So, James.
Oh, well, this one.
Get your mic.
Not too fucked up.
Get your mic nice and close to your face. We want to hear your sexy, deep voice, and read us some Jumbotron James.
All right. This one's from a friend, Crispy Audio, twitch.tv/Crispy Audio giveaway at 100 followers. I've actually seen his stream. He's doing that. He's on the up and up ever since he came on our podcast.
That's good.
He's a good dude.
Mm-hmm. And then I forget which one of you had Bishop. We will do this.
It was Chris.
But I know it was one of you. It was Chris. Whacking off underwater in my parents' swimming pool. Best part of pearl diving was the inlet port for the swimming pool filter and the circulation pump. Getting naked and sitting on it. As the French would say, who doesn't like getting their butt sucked?
Yes. For those who don't know, that's towards the beginning of a story where a dude gets his inside sucked out of his butt. And he almost drowns. Who's that? What's the author is
it's Chuck Palahniuk. He's the original author of Fight Club as well.
Yeah.
And he wrote a short story called Guts. And you can look it up online, but he used to read it at a book signing. And the one that I went to, people fainted and threw up because he was reading this story. That's how disgusting it is.
They actually show that in one of the final
I didn't know where that was going, so I was...
It gets way worse.
Yeah.
It's gross.
It's great. All right. Well, thank you, James, for that. If anyone wants to...
thinking about that all night.
If anyone wants to have their message read during the podcast, we use a currency on my stream called ducats. You can spend some ducats and submit a message for James to read. If I'm gonna add another way for people to submit those. If you're not a Twitch individual and you want to submit a message, we're gonna set something up through email or something. But James would like to read your messages. So submit those messages. You're allowed to self-promote. It's whatever you want. Submit a message and James will read it live on the podcast. Thank you guys for being here. We're going to take a short 3 to 5 minute break. If you guys all just want to mute yourselves, when we come back, Meshyf has assured me that this week's beef is perfect. He said he had no problems, no audio issues, no encoding issues. He is very excited about this beef, so you guys aren't going to want to miss it. We're gonna be diving into some hot, fresh Chiefs beef as soon as we get back from the break. All right, we are back. Real quick, friendly reminder. 2 things. Number 1, this is episode number 20. I'm super excited that we have these wonderful guests with us today to celebrate our 20th episode of the podcast. We've been doing this for 20 weeks. I wish I could say 20 weeks in a row. We had a couple weeks where we didn't get one out, but we've been doing this consistently almost weekly. We've got 20 episodes out, and I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish. So that excites me greatly. Also, just one more time, you guys, everybody here watching, we're all here sharing the love. Make sure that you go check out ChristopherClever. So twitch.tv/ChristopherClever and twitch.tv/JoshTuckerTV. They're both excellent entertainers. They're both very passionate about what they do. Yeah, get some shout outs in chat. Thank you, Bishop. Go check them out. If you're out there listening to this in podcast form, the links will be provided in the YouTube description. Their names will be included in the title of the podcast, so you can Google them. You can go find their stuff. They deserve your attention. They're very wonderful for accepting my invitation to be here. I'm having a ton of fun right now. To be honest, this is a great 20th episode so far, and we're gonna jump into some beef and see what Meshyf has for us this week. So I'm gonna switch over to our media view here and bring up the beef. That's not the right link. Hold on a minute. If you guys want to unmute yourselves, you are on the stream.
Oh,
how's it going?
I've got the Chiefs beef up. Hopefully you all have it up here.
I do.
So if you have it up, what we're going to do is I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, go, and we're all going to hit play at the same time. So none of us have watched this yet. For those at home who may be listening who are not familiar with this segment, our good friend Meshyf, he's an angry old man, and he likes to complain about silly things. So he's going to give us 2 things that he's just not happy about, and we get to decide which one is the bigger beef. So when you guys are ready, if you got that video up, we will get into...
Why is it acting weird? All right, I'm ready.
You ready? All right. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, go. We're going to hit play, and we're going to dive into some hot, fresh Chiefs beef.
Let's do it.
All right. 1, 2, 3, go.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Chiefs Beef. Here we barbecue the beefiest of beefs to see which beef is Chiefs beef. We're down here at JTRHNBR Studio Network Complex Headquarters bringing you today's hot, spicy beef. Here's your man with the beef, Meshyf!
Welcome everyone to the ring. I'm your host, Meshyf, bringing you this week's hot and spicy beefs. We got 2 beefs going head to head, and we're going to figure out which of the 2 is the beefiest. First beef is adults and Halloween. You want to ruin something? Get some adults involved. Let's get started. So Halloween used to be, and I'm going to start by telling a story. Halloween used to be when your mom or dad would open the door and say, I got you your costume, go the fuck out there and get your own goddamn candy. And you would go and travel, right? And you'd go around the neighborhood, and you go to the neighborhood next door, and you get as much candy as you could. You'd hang out with your friends all night, causing pranks and goofing on each other and just having a general good time. Well, what ruined that? Adults managed to get into each other's heads, right? They started telling horror stories and really scaring the shit out of each other with, hey, they found razor blades in an apple, and this is infected with AIDS and all this other bullshit, which really on a microcosm, it really does not happen. But adults are terrified that something can happen to their kid because they love them. And I couldn't imagine opening the door like my parents did and saying, go get your own candy to my son, because there's nothing but story after story of all the stuff that could happen, right? Stuff that could happen has ruined Halloween. The other part of it is adults have co-opted Halloween, and they've made it the $6.9 billion industry in the United States, where we spend more money on that than we do a lot of other things. And what is it for? Plastic pumpkins, fake cobwebs, all this dumb bullshit. If you go you go all out on Halloween like this giant spider on this house, and you're into the $1,000 to $10,000 range for your decorations, you're done. You're cut off for the year. Not only do you not get to decorate anymore for Halloween, we're going to take away your Christmas card too, because you've overspent. Okay, you've gone out of control. This is for kids. Let's keep it fun, light, not over the top scary, and don't spend too much money on it because we got other shit we need to worry about. All right? Adults, you've officially ruined Halloween. You're the first beef of the week. Second beef is electric cars.
Oh.
Now, keep in mind, this is coming from a place, someone that owns an electric car.
I was going to
got
say.
one on a lease right now, and I got a couple of beefs with it. First of all, electric cars, there's too much disparity, right, in the way that they look and how much they cost. On the low end, you have something like a Ford Focus, a Chevy Bolt, a Nissan Leaf, a Mitsubishi My-EV. Those are averaging about $30,000, which seems kind of okay. But when you take into account the non-electrified version of that,
Lady Navio says hypocrite.
They're usually about $5,000 to $6,000.
I saw that. That's good.
Now, the way that they offset that is that there's a federal grant program called a federal tax credit of $7,000 on average for these cars. And that's what makes people go, oh, I'll check this out. I'll give it a shot. Okay? I did the same thing. But the problem is when you start looking at it, on the low end, you really don't have the mileage that you need. On average, they're getting about 70 miles to the charge. Charges take about 20 hours. And if you happen to find a charging station somewhere out in the wild, chances are there's some asshole prick on there that's just been topped off but hasn't come to move his car. And you got no way to get on the charger when you desperately, desperately need to charge. Not that you can really get that far away from home anyway. Now, the other part about them is that GM actually made a cheap electric car, and it was good. It was in the 90s. They had old technology. We should be able to do this. On the high end, the people that are doing it supposedly right is Tesla, Fisker. You've got these cool bitchin' sexy cars that look good, and then they go a long distance. You know, the Model X, all those cars that people are like, they're like Halo cars, right?
No.
But what is it about those that keeps people from buying them?
Go.
Oh, I know. Maybe it's the massive fucking price tag To get something that works as a car in the United States, you need something that gets about 300 miles to the charge. Well, to get that, you're spending on average $50,000 to $100,000. And that takes it way out of range of what someone would normally buy or spend on a car, especially in the United States, where the average purchase price is only $30,000. So, electric cars, get the cost down, get the range up. Don't look ugly, look cool. Those are your notes. Keep it together. Manufacturers, get on top of it. Until then, you're the second Beef of the Week. Jimmy, James, Chris, Josh, I want to hear what you guys have to say about this week's beefs. Which of the two is the beefiest? There's a right answer, and I'll give it to you right after this.
All right. I'll pause it. I'm at 509.
I don't know what happened to mine.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's weird. It like froze and then it wouldn't load past that point.
Well, you got the general idea, though. So we got a couple, we got some hot beefs here. We have adults ruining Halloween, and we've got electric cars. He's not very happy about either of those. Josh, you have a big smile on your face. I think I want you to go first. Why don't you weigh in a little bit? What do you think?
I think I agree with the Halloween, right? Like, I don't know if it's adults, but like, and maybe it's just because I moved to a different part of town or what, but I just don't feel like trick-or-treating is what it used to be, like, at all. I just don't. Like, I remember like having a pillowcase and wearing the same crappy ninja costume every year because I wanted to be a ninja so bad. And like running around and stuffing it full of candies, and like my parents like didn't care, right? Like there wasn't dangers. Like I remember this one, like looking back, he was even like the creepy house on the street. Like he would open it, he'd be like, "Come in, children," be on the ground. And to hell, we'd be grabbing candy up off the floor, giant Snickers bars and all this stuff. And now it's like
a camera, but
yeah, exactly. It's a camera in the corner, everything's fine. But now it's like, I think the big thing that I see and what I'm seeing with my nephews is they're doing like trunk or treat, right? They're going and it's like they go to the trunks, but it's not the same to me, right? Like I liked knocking on the door, trick or treat. And then you wondered like if you got the good candy, you go spray it out. But I just feel like, yeah, like, I don't know, I have mean world syndrome a little bit because I work in news, right? Which is the thought that like I sit and I see all the horrific news, right? Like it happens. And so I have kind of a jaded view. But Halloween for me has never been something that, because you hear about like what the one bad thing, right? That one bad apple that somebody was putting a razor blade in, right? Like, and it makes the headlines and then you've got all that thing. You don't hear about the millions of good apples, right? all the good apples that didn't have razor blades in them. So
you making this political? Is that what
yeah, exactly.
I just want to say the only good apple during Halloween are the ones that aren't given out.
Oh yeah, you definitely don't want to be taking apples from strangers. But the reason why we don't take apples from strangers is probably because we're afraid what's in it, right?
Some bullshit rumor about one thing that happened one time, like 15 years ago, to one kid in one neighborhood. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about electric cars?
See, I didn't know they only got like 70 miles per charge, and then it took 20 hours. Like that, like if you probably went back and like go back and watch the video, that like actually shocked me. I was like 70. Like for me, I'm like, all right, I'm never getting an electric car because that's like a trip down to my parents' house and back. My parents don't live very close, and I don't have to charge for 20 minutes and then be out of commission. Like, so that's what surprised. I had no idea. I thought it could go a decent amount. I guess it makes sense, right? Like you plug your phone in, your phone doesn't last forever. You got to wait for it to charge back up. But I guess in my fantasy world, you just plug the car in, it was boom, and then you're ready to go.
Yeah, it depends on the car, and it depends on, if it's hybrid or, but I'll get into that later. I want to hear from Chris. I don't
know, man. This is one of those things. Like I actually support both of them, and I don't know. It's hard to have beef because like for me as a kid, I did go trick or treating, and a lot of the costumes were very limited because I grew up in a not well-off family, and it was always like, hey, let's go to the dollar store and get these cheap Halloween stuff, and let's go get the cheapest costume we can find. So like my Batman looked literally like a Missy Elliott video with the garbage bag. It was just, but I think
can't stand the rain.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah, that's a throwback. But I was sitting there thinking, like, as an adult, I mean, even at my sister's house back in Memphis, we threw a giant Halloween party, and I got really into it. And I wanted to hang plastic all over the walls with blood, and like, I was just like, this is gonna be so much fun. And a lot of it was like, do it yourself. But to me, it was like kind of a thing that kind of pulled that childhood out of me, where it's like, fuck yeah, I get to do what I want to do. I don't have parents telling me I can't cover the living room in blood. Let's just do it. Like, let's have a good time and have a party and drink and whatever. On the same note, I support electric cars. The only downside of that, which he mentioned, I think, is how freaking expensive they are.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like, oh yeah, my friend was like, oh, you should really help the environment. And not like I don't want to, but it's like, $35,000 for this. I don't really want to spend that. It's like, well, you're going to help the environment. I know, but, so I don't know. I guess to me, my beef would be more with the electric car industry, because it's still being utilized as, if we really wanted to save the environment as bad as we do, which I support, it would be something affordable. I mean, that's my opinion. It would be a little bit more affordable, even if it's just a little bit more affordable. But they know that people are going to buy it, so the consumerism comes in, the capitalism comes in, and it's like, oh, we have to, make a profit, and that unfortunately supersedes anything else. So I think that I'm sticking with Halloween. My beef would still be with the electric car industry.
Mm-hmm.
James, what do you think?
Oof. See, I have some pretty fond memories of Halloween. I would wear the same costume every year because I was dead set on this one cloak with the masks that you can't see my face, but I can see out of. I was like, this is the pinnacle of Halloween. But I hated the assholes down the street that they would dress up in full costume. They'd get a chainsaw without the chain, but then just rev it up and run at you. Like when you got near their house, because they're like, oh, it's just Halloween. We're trying to be like scary. It's like, no, you're just being a dick. Because I'm the oldest of my family, so I'd like walk with my siblings. And when my brother starts crying because the guy's running out with the chainsaw, I'm like, dude, can you like knock that shit off?
He's Mickey Mouse. Come on, dude. Like,
yeah.
Mickey Mouse
so it's like, and I enjoyed it, but it's like these days it is really like weird because I would just go out and like, oh, I'm the big brother, so just like watch the kids and then just take them around the neighborhood. It was like that easy. But then like at least in my neighborhood, it's like less and less people do trick or treating. Like everyone's houses are dark because they're like, don't come to my house. We're not participating this time. Or it's like we're just going to a different event. And then spending so much money. My house was just, if the porch light's on, there's candy. But then some other people, they spend so much on the decorations. It's like, who are you trying to impress here? We're all like lower class families here. It's like, we're not trying to break the bank on Halloween decorations. And I like electric cars because they, like Tesla's like, oh, those are nice cars. But trying to drive something that gets you 70 miles on a charge on California freeways, you might run out of charge on the freeway. You're not going to get very far.
It's like my nightmare.
If I had to choose, I'd have to say electric cars, just because if you want something good, you're going to break the bank, even though it seems really good. Because it's like, well, instead of breaking the bank on an electric car, I could just buy a gasoline car that gets me like 50 miles to the gallon. And it's probably going to do like the same amount of saving the earth, but it's going to cost me less money.
I don't know. It's a tough one for me because I
have to.
So I was borderline, like I wasn't like. Do you guys, are you familiar with the phrase latchkey kid? You know what that means? A latchkey kid is basically someone who like took care of themselves. Like, you know, your parents were working, you'd come home from school, you had a key to your own house, you'd come home and you'd like, I had an older sister and she pretty much took care of me. And like both of my parents worked. It wasn't uncommon. And I mean, it still happens today, but not nearly as much. But like, there were a lot of times when it was just us. And I was expected to basically take care of myself from fairly like I'm a product of that generation where it's like what's the word I'm looking for? I was almost a latchkey kid, but not quite. Oh, free range kid. I was a free range kid. Like my parents were basically like, go outside. Like, you know, they let me, I remember playing computer games and whatnot, but there were times where I would literally, me and like 10 of my friends would skateboard all the way around town by ourselves. There were no cell phones. Like maybe I had like 50 cents in my pocket to call my parents from a payphone.
I've been there, yeah.
Like, it was a completely different time. Like, I don't know if you can even compare it now, but like, we would skateboard for hours, like 2 or 3 hours, and I wouldn't tell my parents where I was. Like, we would skate all the way downtown and back, and we knew all the ins and outs and like the shortcuts and going through the trees. Meshyf, you know what I'm talking about? California Avenue, like from where my parents live, we would go all the way, like, we'd go from my parents' house all the way through behind the business district on California Avenue, almost to downtown and back. And we were all like in 6th grade. Like we were like, you know, like barely, you know, we're talking 12, 13, 14 years old. And so the same thing applies when you talk about Halloween. I remember in 6th grade, like 6th grade, my parents just like, exactly like you said, you know, I had a pillowcase and I went out with my friends. There were no parents outside. It was just a bunch of kids running around the neighborhood, just fucking yelling at each other, smashing pumpkins, like trick-or-treating. It was madness. And that was the fun of it. It's just like there's this night where it's like safe to just go out and run around and get candy and do shit. Of course, there were like the high school assholes. You know, they were called bag snatchers. In my neighborhood, you had to watch out for the bag snatchers because there were older kids who would just like run by and snatch your bag after you'd been working for 2 or 3 hours trying to earn your candy. So you had to keep an eye out for the bag snatchers. But other than that, like it was just like, you know, I ran into other kids from my school that I like only usually saw at school, but we'd come around the corner and be like, oh shit, it's Shelly and Steve and Andrew. Like, I didn't know, like, I forgot we lived in the same neighborhood. I don't know. It was just, it was such a cool social thing. But there were no parents around. All the parents were inside the house drinking their fucking like wine coolers and box wine. And, you know, they were watching TV and waiting for kids to show up to throw candy at. But the kids were outside running around. I feel like it was a win-win situation. We lost track of that. It's like, oh, okay, cool. We send the kids outside and we get to like watch a movie and eat some popcorn and chill. But,
I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
it was
exactly. It was like
excited to have alone time and like I don't have any fucking children right now. They can just go because I used to go out on my bike and we would stay out from I don't know right after school at like 3 till like 10 at night. And my mom's like, as long as you're in at 10 at night. And I feel like those so many 6 or 7 hours, my mom was just having a blast. Like she's like, oh, I don't even worry about it.
By the time you get home, your parents are like, have a good time, cool.
Yeah, brush your teeth and go to bed.
Yeah, no, that's funny you mentioned the bike thing because towards the end of my Halloweening days, like that was the strategy, right? Like you would ride your bike to the neighborhoods where you think you would get the best score. And then you'd all park your bike somewhere. You'd like hide them in a bush or like whatever. And you would like hit those couple of blocks in my area there was a neighborhood called Old Stockdale and there was a neighborhood called Stockdale Estates. It was like the rich neighborhoods. So we'd ride our bikes over there. We'd hide our bikes and, you know, somewhere. And then we would just hit all of the rich houses and hope for like the full size Snicker bars and shit. But there was zero parent intervention. No one had cell phones. No one, you know, it's like just be home eventually. You know, like
eventually.
Like
Maybe, right? Maybe you get kidnapped. You go,
Who knows?
no, abductions are lower. Statistically, there are fewer abductions now than there have ever been in history. The only reason it seems inflated is because the dissemination of information. It seems more common because you hear about it every time it happens. Back in the fucking 80s and 90s, if some dude got abducted in New Jersey, you didn't hear about it in California local news. Like,
yeah, it didn't, because therefore it didn't happen.
There was no internet. No one, like, you didn't know what was happening across the other side of the continent. But now it's like, that's the problem, is that like everybody knows about everything that happens. So it seems like it happens more often, when statistically it's safer now than it's ever been.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely.
So I feel like personal. By the way, free range kid, Google free range kids. That was my life. Like, my parents were basically like, go outside and play. I don't give a shit.
As an adult, I've learned one thing: don't Google anything, kids, please.
No, free range kids is actually, there's a woman who got in trouble because she gave her I think her son was like 8 years old, and she lived in like New York or New Jersey, and he was like, hey, I want to ride the subway home. And she gave him enough money to figure out how to ride the subway home by himself. And she took a ton of flack for it. And so she ended up becoming an advocate for this movement called free range kids, where it's like your kids are smart enough to figure out how the world works. And I'm actually an advocate for it. Like, I feel like our kids are way too coddled. And I think we need to give them more freedom to kind of learn and grow with the world, because it's no more dangerous now than it's ever been. It's actually safer than it's ever been, but because of like Meshyf said, the whole shock value. So long story short, I didn't mean to rant, but for me personally, the Halloween one, I'm gonna have to go with that one because it's kind of a archetype for a bigger problem. Everyone's scared as fuck about something that's probably not going to happen.
I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, I completely understand why you'd pick that.
I think the electric car thing, I think it's just a matter of growing pains. I think we're getting there. I think, we're a few years away from like, we've talked about this before. Battery storage, like energy storage, is the real problem. In the next few years, there's going to be a huge revolution in energy storage, and that's going to solve all those problems. We're just not there yet. So I personally don't think that's a bigger beef. I think the whole like coddling of children and not letting them go out and explore the world is a bigger beef, because we're going to have a bunch of kids who don't know how the world works.
I can see that. Yeah. With the electric car thing, I can also mention that I don't remember who tweeted it the other day. It was somebody that went viral somewhere, but somebody had said something on Twitter about how, can we stop pretending like you eating vegan or you buying an electric car is really going to fix the global warming or the environmental crisis, when we've got corporations that are pretty much still churning out, like, I don't know what the word they used, but it's kind of that, like, is me changing what I eat or what I do, as one person. I mean, it's really hard to believe that I'm going to make that much of a difference. I'm not saying that you don't make a difference, because you do, but it's like when you look at the corporations that still haven't turned over to like better energy sources, it's kind of like, that's a bigger problem in my opinion than just one dude kind of sitting on his ass and farting and eating, hot dogs.
I don't know, dude. I'm pretty sure my farts are putting holes in the ozone layer.
Yeah.
All right. I can see that.
My wife would probably agree.
She smells JimmyNavio's.
Yeah, all the way over here.
With our powers combined, we are Captain Poop Pants.
Wonder Twin powers activate.
So I'm going to go with the Halloween one as the bigger beef. What do you guys think?
Well, you already asked us. Well, I mean, we answered.
I'm Halloween. On my end, it's us up top, and then I think I haven't seen the stream, but it's like split, right? You guys down below are electric cars.
So James, did you go with electric cars as a bigger beef?
I did. Knowing it's hard, because it's like you kind of want to choose what you think Meshyf is going to choose.
No, it's what you think.
It's like.
So
yeah,
James and Chris are going with electric cars, and Josh and myself are going with Halloween.
Or we're just right. You could have just said, we're right.
We're right. Well, we will see. Because according to Meshyf, there is a right answer.
Mm-hmm.
But, So where's my video at? Let's see. I had it. Oh, here it is. All right. Let me switch back over to my media view. I am at 5:09.
All right.
So if you all want to get to 509, and we'll hit play, and we will see the results here. So on go. 1, 2, 3, go.
Well, Jimmy, James, Chris, Josh, how'd you guys do? You think you got the beef of the week? Because it is.
Hello, my old chum.
Chief, what is this?
I'm not a gnolf. I'm not a gnoblin. I'm a gnome, and you've been gnomed.
Adults and Halloween. They're the
I did not
beefiest.
come here
Now, why is this
tonight
the
to be
beefiest?
gnomed.
Your
We got gnomed.
childhood. Think back to when you were a kid, okay, and you had just an awesome Halloween experience. Were you getting in and out of the back of your mom's car to run up and down the one house and going to the next and run up and down? No. Let's put a stop to that. I'm not saying pull the brakes on the whole thing and stop Halloween and get adults out of it and be dangerous and be out there. No. What I want everyone to do, if you're an adult and a parent, if you're an adult and you want to participate in trick-or-treating and Halloween, have the good candy. First of all, have good candy, okay? Second thing I want you guys to do, don't go overboard with the decorations, and let's do this a little bit by a little bit. Okay, we're not going to change the whole world overnight in one Halloween, but what I want parents to do not drive your fucking kid from house to house, okay? Let them have a real Halloween. So this Halloween, don't drive them from house to house. Next Halloween, we're going to take a little bit more, okay? We're going to walk with them, and we're going to stop in the neighborhood, and we're going to watch them go up and down the street by themselves because it's fucking Halloween. Give them a little bit of freedom. Halloween after that, hey, I don't know, let's go crazy. Let's open the door and say, go ahead. Have fun. Be safe. You got your phone, okay? Let's take Halloween back for the kids, be safe, and have a good fucking time. Like I used to have when I was a kid, when Halloween was fun. Now it sucks. So, Halloween, you're the beef of the week.
There you go.
I think I was a little ahead of you guys, but when he says back when it was fun, now it sucks. That was good.
So Josh and myself, congratulations. We win.
You won.
Yeah.
We
We
win.
knew, right? It was the J, the Jimmy, Josh. Well, I guess.
All that
Yeah,
matters is
there's
that
also
I was right. So
Hamas. I don't know.
Jam is. Oh yeah, no, he's Hamas.
Pajamas.
It's more of an
Hamas.
H sound, right? So he didn't win because he used the wrong sound.
I'll see. There it is.
Your sound was too Mexican. Yeah, no, I don't know. They're both good though. That was a good. I liked. Those were like completely different. They're not related in any way. I feel like the last few Chiefs beef, they've been kind of related in some way. These were two completely different topics.
Yeah, I had no idea what to expect, and I'm like, I really had like no idea like what it was going to be. And then here we are, right?
Yeah,
Just like, what random thing is Meshyf angry about this week? We never know.
by the way, he where he lives currently is like a block away from where I grew up. So whenever I go visit my family, sometimes I'll stop by his place and say hi. But
And walk the old trick-or-treating streets.
yeah, no, I'm gonna go trick or treat at his house like every Sunday night from now on. I'm just
Pull up
gonna
in
go.
a car.
I'm gonna Meshyf, you better have some candy for me, dude, when I show up on Sundays from now on. You've set the bar. So just saying, it's out there. Josh, before we go any further,
Uh-oh.
when did your obsession with Magic the Gathering begin?
It was a cold and dark, sunny day. No, it was I started playing in like 2014. I think it was core 13 or core 14. That's like one of the sets, right? I had a friend that was like, hey, he gave me some cards and I picked it up, I played, and I went to one Friday night Magic, which is like it's like a tradition. Right. I'm from the long Friday Night Magic is a bunch of Magic nerds get together on Fridays and we go play Magic, right? And there's drafting. which is essentially like a micro tournament where you're making a deck on the fly. And I went to it one time, and I'd been playing for like 6 months, and I finally like got the courage, right? It's like go, and then they were so mean to me. I was like,
really?
It's like a joke, but I don't know if I was like too Chad-tastic for them. Like
Chad, fucking Chad showed up.
Like I showed up in like a tank top, and like everybody was a dick to me. And I had like one person who was like kind of nice to me. And I forgot to like, you have to like, it's the upkeep phase. You have to like untap your mana. And so you can use it again. And I was like playing a match, and I like forgot to untap. I drew. So you're supposed to upkeep, you're supposed to untap your mana, and then you draw. So I drew, and I forgot to untap. And so after I drew, I went to untap, and the guy was like, "Oh, no. And it's like not a big deal, right? Like it doesn't matter. You're not being better at the game. I was just a new player. I wasn't good. And I remember being like, screw this. Like, these Magic nerds are too much for me, man. Like, and so I stopped. I had all my cards. And then I have an incredible community member. His name's Chaos. And like he works at a local game shop in LGS in California. And me and Cobalt Streak had mentioned that we were talking about playing Magic again, and he sent us boxes of cards to open on stream. And
nice. Pretty awesome.
Really, like, it's really an addiction. Like it's a joke, and I like to say that I don't have an addiction, but like I crack open the pack, and I'm like, what are we gonna get? Like, what foil card are we gonna get? Am I gonna pull a really good card? And I probably like low key have like a deep gambling addiction down in me. Like I just hide, right? Because like I don't go to the casino because I don't want to get wrapped up in the flashy lights and lose all my money that I already don't have, right? And so, and also like it gets me out of my office, and I think that is like it's important for me to have a hobby because for me personally, like I view Twitch like a part-time job, not in like a monetary way. I view it for that as like a seriousness, right? Like you don't want to be late for work. So as for me, I view Twitch like, and so it's nice for me to have Magic as like the nerd hobby, right? Where I can hang out. It's not always like you get around Twitch people all the times. Like we just want to talk about Twitch. It's the nature of the business, right? It's the nature of what games are you playing, this and that. And a lot of the times the Magic, it's just all about Magic stuff. So it's my segue gets me out of my, if I'm not hanging with my beautiful wife, if I'm not playing with my puppy, it's my chance to go and spend 4 or 5 hours a week and do nerd stuff and not worry about anything else stream related or computer related and just hang out. So
can I just say that it's really funny that earlier in the podcast, you're like, man, when I was a kid, I was like skinny and I hung out with all the outcasts and I got like picked on. And then now you're like, man, now I'm wearing tank tops and muscles and I go to a Magic the Gathering thing and I get picked on. And it's like completely flipping the script from when you were younger. I think that's super ironic.
I know. It's like, I'm just never going to have any.
You're
friends,
like,
right?
finally I made it into jock status. And then they're like,
now. I don't know. I just think
now it's not the goal.
It's like they felt threatened by you. Like, oh, who's this? Like,
and if anything,
like
I'm the exact.
Like you called yourself a Chad. Like, who's this Chad invading like our space?
Yeah, like, Chad, this guy coming in and like
we're the Magic guys. Like this is our thing, and then they see you. Like, who's this guy?
Maybe I don't know, but I like hurt. Like, it sounds like dramatic to say, but it hurt my it really did. Like it hurt my feelings because I remember being like so excited, and that local game shop kind of has a reputation of being a bunch of tryhards, right? Like I'm not going to the Grand Prix. I don't give a shit who wins the Worlds. Like I'm going there to goof off, have some fun, and maybe get some cards.
Right.
And like maybe it was just they were way too serious for me because I'm not about like I try to have as much fun and be goofy as possible, right? So it's like if I'm playing with somebody and they misplay and they want to take it back, like I'm gonna let them. I'm gonna let them take it back because we're not playing for some tournament. We're paying for like. If you win the draft, you get like $10. Like, who cares? Like, like, we're super tryhards, and they didn't want a Chad coming in and tapping their mana.
I'd see a similar type of guys back when I played tennis. It's like when some people were super chill, like, oh, we're just here to play and have fun. Other guys, they're calling everything, like, oh, that's out. Like, if the ball's too close to the line, they call everything out. Yeah, they start yelling line. They like do every single like call out they know. They're always like yelling to like try to get you like off your edge. Just like, dude, I'm just trying to have fun. It's like
that goes with
pro here. What are you like
anything.
going for? Huh?
Because like that goes with anything. Because like even like I just recently rebuilt my PC and can finally play Overwatch, which I know that sounds crazy, but I had this old like FX 6300 processor and I'd run Overwatch and it would just lag. So I recently started playing and I started noticing I'm just jumping in and trying out classes and having a good time. And there's always some douchebag on the mic who's like, "Hey man, you're not playing the meta and you're not doing it right. We don't have enough." It's like, all right, I'm trying. Like, you know, I'm just having a good time. But there's always that douchebag. He's like level 28. Come on, dude. Really? Like, all right. And he's like, I have to get my levels in today. Like, anything.
Don't play ranked if you're not going to take it seriously, bro.
No, I wasn't playing
people
ranked.
in quick play too. They're like, I'm practicing.
Quick play?
Ranked. They're like, this is my warm up.
It's just a matter of people. I don't know. People take things too seriously, and it's fine if you're going to do it. But do it in the space, like do it in that space of ranked or do it in that space of like with your friends and practice and do whatever. But like even with Magic the Gathering, it's like, come on. If you go to a shop, like we have a local comic book shop here where they play games and stuff and you go, game, that seems cool. And then it's just very cliquish and you kind of start realizing like these people are like, well, you've never been here before. What kind of game? That seems cool. And then it's just very cliquish and you kind of start realizing like these people are like, well, you've never been here before. What kind of game do you play? And it's like, oh God. It's
see,
bad.
I love the local game shop we go to now. Like they are, I mean, we've had like, you know, if you guys, one of our good friends is, you know, Sir Slaw, his first game ever of Magic was in the draft. Like they didn't care. They're like, yeah, we want more people here. The same with Blessius, who's a big YouTube, like Destiny YouTuber. Like they just came in to hang out because that's what it's about for us, right? It's a chance for us to all get together. You know, at times we're wrapped up in our games and whatnot, but at the end of the day, like it brings us together. It gets us out of the house, away from our screens, which we would all be glued to. And having fun. So Magic for me, just so you guys know, like I'm literally sitting on like Magic cards just left and right. Like they're all over my desk. But I think Magic for me means more than just playing cards, right? It's about the community, it's about the people, and it's about hanging out with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean that's why. I don't know. I don't know why card games and board games and internet communities, they're looked at very differently than let's say that instead of Magic, we were talking about fucking golf, right? then it's okay. It's like, oh, you know, me and my boys, we go, you know, every Sunday and we have our group and we go play golf together. But the second you start talking about anything internet or nerd culture related, there's like a certain stigma associated with it, right? Like I don't know why, but like it's like Josh, because you're an athletic individual. And you, okay.
I pick stuff up and put
here, flex your biceps compared to mine. You're an athletic individual. Fucking shut up. How many times do you manscape, right? Compared to me, you're an athletic individual. Don't act like you don't shave parts of your body that I don't.
I wax it. Okay, get the full wax.
But what I'm saying is like they think because you look or act a certain way, like Josh should be playing golf and athletic. He should be doing athletic things because of the way he looks or acts, or you know, he's a Chad or he's a bro or a frat boy, or those are the roles he plays or whatever. It's stupid. Like here's a good example. My friend, I'm gonna name drop. It's not a big deal. His name's Daryl Vasquez. I went to school with him. He was like an all-state champion wrestler. He went on to become he has an amazing career doing 3D illustration and animation. but he's like an all-state champion wrestler, like from the Central Valley. He's a very good friend of mine that I've known for years, and you like the whole. I wish that would go away. I wish the stigma would go away entirely. Like the whole nerd culture thing. Everyone's a nerd now. You know, when you've got UFC fighters streaming GTA 5, you know, like those lines don't exist, but some people hold on to them. You know, like there's like someone in chat said the gatekeepers. Some people feel that there's like this sacred, like, oh, unless you haven't been doing it as long as we have, you're not a part of this community or whatever, you know, like who gives a fuck? Like who cares if you spent your entire life playing basketball and you decide that Call of Duty is cool and you want to start streaming?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Why? Like, why does any of that have to exist? Like, why can't we all just do what we like and shut the fuck up?
I think we are.
We're getting there.
We are, right? And I think, you know, it doesn't matter if you like him or you think he's a good broadcaster or whatever it is. But, I mean, Ninja is breaking down those boundaries, right? Like, there's not...
Played Fortnite with Ellen.
Yeah, you know, playing Fortnite with Ellen.
with a gamepad, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I just think that we're seeing, like, I think nerd culture is coming out of the basement. And I say out of the basement because that's where I think immediately you go to, right? If you think of, like, oh, you know, the old South Park World of Warcraft episode where they're pooping in buckets and screaming Hot Pockets and all of that. Like, but I definitely, and it makes me excited. Like, I think nerd culture is becoming, not saying it was ever not mainstream, but it's becoming more mainstream, right? Like Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, it's incredible. Like, I'm like happy that we're alive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a really good
Marvel thing. Is like, wow, this incredible thing. Like you've got, and that's nerd culture. And that's kind of blurring the lines of, you know, of comic books where people, I guarantee you there are people who are not nerds that fell in love with the Marvel Cinematic Universe when have gone to comic shops and bought comics. I know it for a fact. And so I think in the next 10 years, maybe less than that, I think the lines that we're going to be, you know, outside of like the extreme cases, right? Like there's always going to be the extreme people who are like, this is mine. Like, you know, there's people on Twitch that are like, oh, well, you guys didn't know what Twitch was before Ninja. Who cares? Mm-hmm. Who cares if you didn't know about it before Ninja? Good. I'm glad they're on the platform. It's a chance for more people to watch me. It's a chance for more people to watch you guys. It's a chance for more money to come in so more tournaments can happen and more money gets funneled in. Like, if there's in something that sounds like, you know, Chris is kind of this way as well. Like, I'm just a rising tide floats all boats. Okay. Like, if Ninja is making X amount of millions of dollars a year and getting all this big press, guess what? When his link is hyperlinked in an ESPN article, they have to go to Twitch. They have to go to Twitch, which is going to have breakdowns of recommended of all these things. And they might branch out. They might go, well, I hate Fortnite. Man, I really love Dark Souls. And next thing you know, they're on the Happy Hobbs channel watching him do no-hit runs. Like, it's nice. It's incredible.
I had this conversation with a friend of mine, another streamer, the other day on Twitter, no less. We ended up going back and forth about this, and he was in agreement. But somebody brought up, like, we kind of got to this place where and I talked about this earlier with Twitch communities. There's a lot of people who are saying things like, you know, about small streamers, support small streamers. There's a lot of people who come up and start their Twitch and immediately they're hashtagging support small streamers and all this stuff. And it's like, so the conversation got brought up about that. How is it really just because we're supporting them because they're small, or is it because we're supporting them because of their content, or like because they're growing? So people kind of start using different words. Like, instead of saying small streamers, let's say growing streamers. Okay, that sounds a little bit better. But then they started questioning, like, well, you know, is it more important to support smaller or growing streamers that are kind of like on the low end of things versus like Ninja and Dr. Lupo and Shroud and all these like major streamers? And it's like, you supporting them is not taking away from smaller streamers. That's my opinion. And that's a lot of people's opinion. And you may not agree with this. A lot of people might not. But the fact is that if Ninja gets 40,000 views in one stream, a lot of those people are people like my aunt, that are like, oh, I've never been on Twitch before in my life, but I've seen this dude on ESPN, or I've seen this dude, my son's watching him and I'm just really curious. This is very interesting. And then, yeah, you're absolutely right, Josh. I completely agree with you. They might not, whether they like Ninja's content or anybody's content, they're going to start browsing the site and say, oh, I didn't know this was here. So that kind of exposure is big for everybody. It's not stealing anybody's views. It's not taking it away from any kind of smaller streamers. It's not making it to where, there's those big sharks in the sea and we're just these little minnows. You can grow on Twitch still. There's no way that you're going to be stuck. And all of those views that hit those bigger streamers. I mean, even looking at Cobalt Streak right now, I mean, he's streaming, 1,200 viewers right now as we speak. That dude is a good, positive influence. And he's going to bring people to other people's channels. And all of those people that come on, even, hey, I've never seen, a live Binding of Isaac run. Okay, they find him first.
Right.
That's how I found him. I found him on YouTube. And then I went to Twitch. And that's how I started watching Twitch way more than I did before, was because of him.
Right.
So interesting. Like now I'm streaming and I've created a community and people are starting to come out and say, hey, I just started. Let me see what's going on. And so anybody who lays that down as, oh, this is a problem. Everybody's, nobody's watching me, but everybody's watching Ninja, and blames Ninja. That's not fair. That's not fair. Make better content. Those people are going to funnel down. It's an actual system where they actually funnel down.
Plus there's a wider audience than that, right? Like, like Ninja has a certain demographic and he has the people that are interested in the content that he's making and him as a persona. But I'm a 35-year-old man who listens to way too many podcasts. Like, my audience is going to be very different than,
Absolutely.
Ninja's audience, or than, Joe Schmo Streamer's audience. Like, everybody has their demographic that they're going to appeal to. And we talked about this last week. Like, how many billions of people are there in the world, right? Hey, we got a little raid. Thank you, guys. I do want to recognize that. I appreciate it. What I was saying is, like, there's something for everyone, Fortnite's really popular. It's a fun game. Everybody enjoys playing it. Ninja's one of the better players of it. And, he hit a niche, and it's one of those things, a friend of mine, Favor, he makes a joke that Fortnite's the fidget spinners of games. Like, it's what is big right now. It's the thing, and he's in the place in the thing, and you can't blame him for that. Like, cool.
Well, also, I do want to point out, I don't mean to interject, but I do want to point out that Ninja also worked on Twitch for 8 years.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely.
So it might have hit a niche, but he did build a community of people that watched him. And he did it with Halo, and he did it with other games. He played PUBG for a while. And so he might have blown up when he hit Fortnite, but the fact is that he did it right. I mean, so when people come in and say, how do you make $20,000 a stream? How do you, and they're all on the monetary focus. And it's like, well, he did this for a very, very long time. He made public appearances. The dude put in the work. And to me, that's what's admirable about it. Even if you don't like Fortnite, it's like that dude put in the work. Like, he made it to where he is now because of doing that.
Yeah, I really like the phrase, luck is when opportunity meets preparation, or when preparation meets opportunity, right? Like, if you're working at it and you're preparing yourself, then when those opportunities come, you'll see them.
Absolutely.
Like,
you'll hit 'em.
if you're working at it and you're preparing yourself, and you're, when the opportunity arises, you make your own luck. Like, that's like, you can say, oh, he got lucky. Yeah, but he was working his ass off, and he prepared himself to see those opportunities when they came up, right? Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a great example of that is like Sushi Dragon. A few weeks ago, he was just this small streamer doing his IRL dancing stuff with his crazy effects. He had just lost his job. 1 week passes, he gets a huge host, and he just blows up from there. Like, he had already been putting in all this work. He was just able to really build on that with the community he already had and actually turn it into something that can sustain him. It's not just something that happens randomly.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it does take a lucky break, but the fact is, like you said, if you're prepared for it and I think that it's one of those things where, like, I've seen people who play things like Fortnite and PUBG, and they stream that all the time for a year, and they have 4 viewers the entire time throughout that year, and they never really grow. And then they get a major raid, and they have 200, 300 people, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, I got raided by a big streamer. I'm going to be famous now, and then they don't have the content to keep up with it. So, and it's not me talking trash about any of those people. It's just that if you're more prepared and you actually get to that point where you're putting that in, you're going to have that opportunity and take it. And it's like, oh, I got rated. Now I can show these people kind of what I'm about, and go from there.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. Hard work.
Hard work.
Hard work and dedication.
I think that's
because I used to be on YouTube all the time. So the big meme was how
I
created Jacksepticeye. But then later on, Jacksepticeye had talked about it. And he's like, well, yeah, when I got like the shout out from him, it's like, sure, it boosted my numbers for like a week, but then they just fell right back down to where it was. Like it put me on the radar, but it didn't actually make me grow. Like it's still all the hard work that you have to put in.
Absolutely.
You know, none of it matters though, right? Because the robots are going to take over soon. The reoccurring theme, once I've had a few drinks in me and we get late into the stream, I don't know if you have the stream up, but I'm going to play this video. I posted it in our DM group. The robots are getting way too fucking smart.
God dang it, Bobby. This clip has a copyright.
Did anyone see the Star Trek based episode?
The McAllister?
Yeah, the McAllister. Oh my god,
dude! Wasn't that was like the first episode of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the first episode of the newest season.
Yeah, no, that episode was insane.
I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's super intense, and it's like when I first watched it, I was like, "This is goofy as hell. This doesn't look like Black Mirror at all." But then I got really into it, and I was like, "Man, this is really messed up."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that first episode was crazy.
That was happening. Ooh, Black Mirror, and it's so. It gets you more because it's all stuff that you're like maybe this could happen.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like
fear,
technologically advanced, but in the near future, technologically advanced, where it's like, oh, this could be like the next 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. That's what gets it, because it's like I forgot it was on a much earlier podcast when I brought it up, but it was just like how a lot of our media, like we went from zombies, like that was the huge thing, and now it's more towards like the near future and robotics and like, oh, what's going to happen that we can't predict and how it's going to like ruin us. Yeah, it's that type of stuff that's really coming into our media these days, because it's so entertaining to watch, but at the same time it's like, oh, there's an underbelly of it's like that could happen.
I like dark stuff. I don't know what it is. Like the Haunting of Hill House or whatever is on Netflix now, and I watched the first episode and I'm getting really into it. But do you guys have a favorite Black Mirror episode if you've seen it?
Ooh,
I think the Star Trek one was up there for me.
It was pretty up there for me too. I think San Junipero was probably my favorite, because it was the only one that like made me actually feel good things.
Yeah, that was a good episode. That was wholesome.
I also really liked the one where I forget what the episode is called, but it's the one where they everybody lives like in the underworld doing like the dude's basically just earning credits by riding a bike. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I do.
And he's doing everything he can to get on the reality TV show, basically.
Yeah, that's a really good one,
because there was a lot of parallels to that versus like, you know, people trying to become like internet famous or like, you know, just like reality TV famous and just like trying to have their moment in the, I don't know that. Yeah, no, Jerkwad, I did see that one, by the way, where he jumps up But no, that episode for me, just for whatever reason, struck a chord, because like just the parallels between like how mundane and monotonous his day-to-day activities were, and then when he had the opportunity to like, but then, you know, he kind of saw through the you know, he peered behind the veil, right? Like he saw what was really going on. And then there was a whole aspect of that episode where he's like laying in his room and the walls are like feeding him advertisements. I don't know. There was a lot of social commentary in that episode that like that really like I like resonated with me personally.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, was that it would resonate with a lot of us, because it's like the monotonous 9-to-5 job, and you're just like wishing for something better, and like, okay, well, one day I'm going to be this, one day I'm going to be this, one day I'm going to be, and then the advertisements and stuff, like it's pretty much all that you said. I think it's just one of those things that anybody can look at that and it reminds them of their life. Like it's like, oh, this is, what am I aiming for? Like you're always trying to get, you know, higher on the you know, put a peg higher, I guess.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The one I think it's weird because like I liked it, but it's like not a good thing. It's the one where each person had like a social ranking, and the people.
Yeah,
that's a scary one.
Because that's already something that we do. We just don't have quantifiable scores behind it. Because you already know those people like in your community, where most people are like the general consensus, like, oh, that guy's
crazy.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that guy's crazy, or like he's a bit odd or weird, or like he always smells weird. So it's like that idea already exists with that.
Where you
show,
have a point value associated with your.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the actress's name, Bryce Dallas Howard. She's in the Lost World, not Lost World, the Jurassic World movies. I think she was really fantastic in that, with like how she kind of went crazy with just, you know, hoping to get her score back up, and it just kept tanking. And it's like, and then, I mean, the episode's called Nosedive, so it's like, obviously this is going to be a trip through hell for her, but it was really good.
And then just it showed like how fake a lot of people were acting.
Absolutely.
Like the whole beginning of that was like, well, I was only being nice to you because I knew it was going to raise my score. Like you coming up with me was only a side effect of that.
Yeah. Are you guys doing, I don't know how long the podcast is going on, but I do want to ask, I'm taking over, Jimmy. I'm taking over.
Do it, dude.
Well, I was going to ask, are you guys playing anything? I know you're playing the Magic the Gathering, Josh. I don't know if you're doing it just in physical card form, or if you're actually playing the game on the PC or whatever, but do you guys, are you guys finding any games that you're either looking forward to or that you're like really into right now, as far as like video games?
Subnautica.
Well, and now you're done. So forget that.
You're finished.
You got to go back and wait. Do you have all the achievements though, or did you 100% it?
I'm on Achievement Hunter, so I beat it.
You're like, I beat it. I'm done. Next thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm real excited for like the Fallout. You know, the Fallout 76.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exciting. The new Skyrim as well. I like the big titles, right? I'm worried about Anthem. I'm hoping Anthem's going to be good, but I don't know why. Like, I'm having flashbacks to the Division, which I didn't like. I was so hyped for, and then I ended up not liking it at all. So I'm hoping that's something. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying it's not bad. I've seen, you know, probably what most people have seen. I haven't played any trailers. Not played any demos or anything, but I mean, fingers crossed that Anthem's good.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's so weird. Like those big like AAA MMO light games. It's like you really want them to be awesome, but then you have so much hype for it, and then they come out, and then you get Destiny, which everyone was like, "Oh, it's gonna like change everything," and then you played it, and it's like it doesn't really change a whole lot, and now it doesn't have any of the features like they were touting. Where it's like, oh, that hill over there, you can go there, and it's like, no, it's all like hub worlds now.
To be fair, I feel like there's so many games like that, because even when Diablo 3 came out, they showed off at E3 that the bosses would have custom death scenes with your character. Like they would rip your character in half and all this shit. And then when the game came out, everyone's like, where the hell is that? They're like, oh, that was just an animation we made for E3. And it's like, are you fucking serious? Like, and it kind of sucks that you can't really trust it anymore. You have to wait until you get the game. Mm-hmm. The hype behind it sometimes just isn't there, or it's there in the beginning, but it's not there once you.
Yeah, the last game that I bought, that I like pre-ordered and bought day one, was StarCraft 2. Like I said, like that was long. Like I have pretty much said that I'm never gonna pre-order or buy a game day one. Like I just have to. I'm pretty much, because of what you said. You know, there's there's so much hype and there's so much like, we could talk about the whole Alien fiasco,
Yeah.
with, the trailers versus what the game actually was. And it's just like, I'm a wait and see guy. I'll wait until a game's been out for like 3 to 6 months before I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. They patched all the problems with it and it's worth playing now. And then I'll buy it, but that being said, I am very optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm super excited about Red Dead 2.
That's one that I'm absolutely.
I played the shit out of Red Dead 1. Like that game to me was like the perfect immersion. Like I could just like inject myself into that world. Something about the Wild West and the way they presented it. Like I've said this on the podcast and on my stream multiple times. If there ever comes a day where they make a VR version, like a perfect VR version of a Red Dead game, I will no longer exist in this reality. I will exist in Red Dead and fuck everything else. Because that will be my life. Like I'm straight Westworld. Like I'm gonna put the headset on, and nothing else matters for the rest of my life. Like that, I will fucking play 21, blackjack and
I was gonna say, playing cards the entire time.
Roll dice and play. What's the knife game? What's it called? Stabby finger game.
Stabby finger game.
Well, that's what we're gonna call it. Like I'll hunt down bounties and fight wolves and mountain lions and ride my horse off into the sunset. That will be until I'll stop eating and I'll just fucking live in that world. Like if Red Dead 2 holds up to everything it's promising, it's gonna take up a lot of my time. That's all I'm saying. Like I'm super. If it lives up to the hype, I'm down.
I don't even have a PlayStation yet. I don't have a PlayStation 4 yet. I've still got my old PS3, and I went and bought a used PS3 because I had sold my one when I moved to Austin. And the first game that I bought on PS3 was Red Dead Redemption, just so I could play it again because I was like, this game is super fantastic. But yeah, PS4. I mean, I've been meaning to get one and play The Last of Us and play like Until Dawn and
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah, no, Spider-Man looks great, but Red Dead 2 is like, that's the game that's going to make me go blow $400 on a PS4 Pro.
I thought you were about to say that's the game that's going to make me go blow a hooker.
All right. That's
on the hooker
there's
now.
No shortage. We'll find
just to pay for it. I don't know. It's like I really want that game to be as great as it's getting hyped up to be. But just like based on what they did with Grand Theft Auto 5 and cutting like all the other DLC coming out and the single player, it's like, give a good product and don't like skimp it because of your ideas for multiplayer.
I get that. Yeah.
I loved Red Dead 1 so much.
I mean, the good news for me, and I've always felt this way about any game. I felt this way about Diablo 3 as well, where when it came out, it was kind of a disappointment in a lot of ways. The real money auction house was bullshit. But I always
they removed it now.
Yeah, well, once Jay fucking Wilson got off the team, I don't like him. Sorry, but he ruined WoW and he ruined Diablo. But he, as soon as he left, yeah, they got a new team of guys, and the first thing they did was that they were like, "Oh, we're going to reverse everything that guy did." But I think that you always know that the other one's still there, even though a lot of people don't play Diablo 2 anymore. But you had like Torchlight 2, and you had games, like Path of Exile, and things that could kind of fill that gap for a bit, even if it disappointed. And I feel like I bought the PS3 and Red Dead Redemption again because I knew that even if Red Dead 2 sucks, as much as I want it to be good, I will always go back and play that first game. Always. Because it's just so fantastic.
Yeah.
I wish I could erase it from my memory so I could play it for the first time again because of how good it was.
Mm-hmm. And then Fallout 76. I want it to be really good, but I'm not going to buy it when it comes out. I'm going to wait. I need to see other people play it because I really liked all the other Fallout games because of the RPG aspect, the interacting with the world and the inhabitants. Yeah. And Fallout 76 is so far away from that. It's like, will I enjoy it as much as the other ones?
You're going to find out who your friends are when they nuke you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, especially that. My initial concerns were it's like every person you meet is an actual person. It's like, how will griefing be? But then with the news coming out, it's like, all right, that's not really a huge issue. So
the first day you buy it, you're going to get teabagged and you're going to be like, this is why I didn't want this game.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
The internet toxicity.
I loved playing Rust, but I hated that there were just groups of like 5 to 7 people that would just walk like throughout the map and then just kill everyone they saw. Like that wasn't fun. But then with some of the stuff they showed off, it's like, okay, if you attack someone, you're doing like no damage. But if they shoot you back, now it's like, all right, now you guys are actually going to start dealing actual damage to each other. Yeah. And it's sort of equalized between levels. But it's like, how much of that is like going to be required of me to play the game? And it's like, I don't know, since the world's so empty, it's like, will that bother me to just go from like terminal to terminal and like walk somewhere? It's like, oh, quest complete, go to a machine and like get my reward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just part of the experience, right? Like, you know, if anyone, here's a reference for an old anime. If anyone's ever watched Fist of the North Star, sometimes a gang of assholes just show up and kick your ass. Like that's part of the experience, right? The 4chan clan is just gonna roll up on Josh and
you put a shoe on my head.
I mean, if we were living in a post-apocalyptic world, that would probably happen. Mm-hmm. So I guess it kind of works. Oh, there you go, Chris paying homage. I don't know. Well, yeah, but I agree with you, James. It's a wait and see, I think, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But Josh,
I saw the reveal. Oh, it looks nice.
It does. No, it definitely has some good things that I'm excited about. But the how they handle the multiplayer, we'll see. They gotta. Hopefully, they handle that properly. So, Josh, when you came back to Twitch, I remember you kind of like interacting with Cobalt. You were like, you started doing some like physical training with him and stuff like that. And I noticed you at first you're playing a lot of Enter the Gungeon.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like
that's a good game.
Yeah, that's like almost all you were playing. I have a very love-hate relationship with that game. Do you have any intention? Like that was kind of your game for a minute there. Like, are you gonna come back to that? Is that gonna be your, staple, or are you trying to be more of a variety thing moving forward?
I think I spent so many hours playing DayZ, this standalone game, right? So that has always I've played just one game. I'm going for a little bit of variety, but I think it's important as a broadcaster, especially if you're growing, right? If you're trying to find out, is to have a game that most people know you for, right? Like, I think it's really important to have that, unless you're like the cream of the crop, unless you have like an insanely supportive community where they don't care what you're playing, because in hindsight is like most people care, right? Like if I'm playing Call of Duty and I've been playing Gungeon for months, the people that want to watch Gungeon aren't going to want to watch Call of Duty a lot of the times. Right. So for me, it's Gungeon right now is the game that I can start with, kind of hang out, talk to some people, get my regular people in there, and then kind of give them the chance to play another game, right? Because some people are going to just leave. Some people are going to do it, but it's like Gungeon is, for me, probably the game that I have the most, that a lot of people are going to recognize me for of what I'm playing. Like, I don't think I'm necessarily anything special about it, but it's probably the game right now that I'm most comfortable for. It's the game that I can provide the most instant chat interaction with still providing somewhat help for gameplay. So yeah, it's probably going to be something that keeps going back to and keeps kind of the rock to lean on a little bit. But like today, we played some Subnautica for a while. I've been playing Magic the Gathering on stream. I've been playing. So I guess the long story short is, yeah, a little bit of variety, but always having a game to default to if I'm focusing more on just talking to chat and hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that makes sense. So Chris, I noticed some comments in chat saying that you've been playing a lot of Dead Cells lately. Is that kind of your jam?
So I've always been a variety streamer, and I've always game jumped a lot. I have like game ADD because I'm like
that's me.
Dude, it's so bad that I'll play a game. Like I played LA Noire for a while on stream, and for a couple weeks, and then I just didn't even make it to the end. I just gave up and moved to something else, and it wasn't because of like any kind of dissatisfaction. It was just I was like, I'm gonna play something else. I'm bored. Like, let me throw something else on there. Now I'm gonna play a horror game with a heart rate, and it's not like I'm trying to get views by any means. It's just I'm doing what I would be doing at home normally. I just have fun. So for a long time it was Witcher 3. I think I played Witcher 3 more than any other game on stream because I was just so into the story and the lore and just having a good time with it. And eventually I moved on to something else. And I think Dead Cells, like Enter the Gungeon, is a game where you can have chat interaction. In the game, you actually have specific Twitch interaction. Like as you're playing through, they can choose modifiers for the levels. So they can add like every door you open drops a bomb, or, they have extra birds in the level that attack you, like Hitchcock, right. All that stuff. So like once I found the Twitch integration out, I was like, man, I'm going to play this. And that pretty much that combo combined that combo with song requests on. It's like people come in, they play songs, and they just type in stuff in the chat and they interact, and we kind of just have a good time with it. So it's kind of become this, I don't know, like off. Usually if I'm playing a variety of games, narrative games, I'll do those 2 or 3 times a week. And then 2 nights a week, I'll just play Dead Cells the entire time and just have a good time with chat. And it seems to be a really good kind of chat interaction. So I think that's been the game that I've been most into as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Kind of a staple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Nice.
they're good games because like with Dead Cells and something like Enter the Gungeon, they're both games with a lot of content in them.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's something comfortable that you can just fall back onto because like it's going to take you like another like 500 hours to actually do everything. And then even after you do everything, you can still have fun with the game because it's always going to present to you a new challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, roguelike.
In the middle of any run, and I was gonna say you can be in the middle of any run, and it's gonna be. I mean, same with Binding of Isaac with Cobalt. It's like he does that, and he obviously like is to the point where he's like you said earlier, he knows ways to break the game that we've never even dreamed of. But there's always going to be something interesting, and if you pop in on a daily basis, or if you pop in once a month, you're going to see, oh, he's playing Dead Cells or he's playing Enter the Gungeon, and it's. Let me see what this run's like, or let me see how far he's made it as far as the progression goes. And it's not like a narrative-driven story where, oh, shit, I jumped into the middle of Life is Strange, but I've never seen it, so I don't know what's happening. I don't need to watch the stream. It's a very different experience for the viewer, I think.
Yeah, I think that's why roguelites tend to be good streaming games, because you can start a run, and because the levels are randomly or procedurally generated, you can jump into the stream and just enjoy that run. Whereas when you play narrative games, especially games, that take 30, 40, 60, 100 hours to beat, if you've never seen the streamer before and you come in the middle of it, like you come in the middle of this complex story with character development and, all this shit going on, and you can't really immerse yourself into it because you're jumping into the middle of an existing narrative of an existing, it's already been going on for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I think that's why I tend to lean towards roguelites as well, because I can start a run of a game that someone's never seen before, but it's a brand new run, and they can be like, oh shit, okay, he's starting with one weapon, and he gets stronger as he goes. Oh, he died. Oh, we're starting over. Okay, it's a brand new run. It's that whole. Anyone can jump in at any time and feel like they're a part of the experience because of the nature of the game with the whole permadeath and unlocking items and everything. Narrative games are hard unless you like. I know a friend of mine from DLC, Gator Pete. He had really good success with Yakuza 0. But that's because he had like a group of people that started with him from the beginning and played. They watched him play through the entire game, beginning to end. But then when he finished it and he moved on to something else, like a lot of them just dropped off because he's like, "Oh, you're done with this game that I was interested in," and they were like, "Pfft."
Yeah, it depends on the game and the audience. There are a lot of people who have come into my chat and they've hung out for the game. And then I'm like, hey, you know what? It was Breath of the Wild, I think I was playing. I've been playing that a lot recently. And it's like, yeah, I'm here for Zelda, watching me for like 3 hours. And then I switched over to Dead Cells and they literally typed in the chat, all right, well, I'm leaving. And I was like, okay, I mean, that's fine. But, you know, I mean, come back and you'll see me play more Breath of the Wild soon. But honestly, the viewers that stick around are the ones that want to. They don't really care what you're playing. They're there for the entertainment, the chat interaction. They're hanging out. They're having a good time. Unless you're somebody who's obviously like into the esports level of pro and you're absolutely dominating at some FPS shooter, and that's what they're there to see. They're going to be there for the streamer.
Get good, noob.
Yeah, really.
So Josh Tucker.
That's what they call me.
That's what I'm gonna call you right now, bro. You give us your schedule. When you streaming?
I stream. God, I feel like because things have been so crazy lately. I stream pretty much daily from 2 p.m. Central until around 7 or 8 o'clock Central. Somewhere around there. Someone's done it before. Okay, gotta try to get off when the wife is home. But I do take Fridays off because of Friday Night Magic.
Oh, isn't that where you go to a local place and play your Magic games?
Yes,
All
play it in person. I Chad-tastic all over those nerds.
You gotta live stream some of those.
It's hard. That's like that's like where the card games are like always gonna fail, right? Because there's like not a good way to do it, right? Like the tournaments are always look really bad. Because like you're seeing the cards flipped over and you're like trying to read them and the people are trying to talk over it, but you know.
Yeah. All right. So everyone, you heard it. You gotta go check them out. 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
What did you say? Central?
Yeah, Central.
2 p.m. Central. So make sure that's important. Check him out. Go give him a follow. Go give him a like. Go check out his Twitter. Go whisper sweet nothings in his ear, and go look at him flex. How often do you flex? How often do you flex in the mirror, Josh? Like,
look at him flex.
Yeah. How often do you like when you're at the gym or you're at home and you're just like, you know what? I'm gonna look at myself right now.
I mean, if it's at the gym, it's like one big flex, right? Like one flex from the moment I walk in until I walk out.
He's constantly in a rigid like stance.
Yeah, constantly erect, right?
He's walking around like this. Let me get a protein shake.
How does it feel? How does it feel to have an erect body all the time?
Pulsing.
Yeah. Feel the blood just surging through your veins.
Exactly.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah. He's really good at Enter the Gungeon, by the way. He's way better than me. Like I barely ever even finish a run. If I see the dragon, I shit my pants and I die. So he's got a leg up on me. If you want to watch someone who at least knows what most of the items do and can finish runs and kill their past and stuff, like Josh Tucker, he's good at it. And he also plays other games. He's doing his thing and stuff like that. ChristopherClever, not Cleaver, Clever. When do you stream?
You'd be amazed at how many people do call me Cleaver. A lot of it's Europeans and Australians when they're like, Christopher Clever, how you doing? And I'm just like, okay, I guess. So I stream. It's tough to say recently because I've been canceling and pushing back streams. Usually if I cancel a stream, I'll push it back to the next day or the weekend and stream all weekend. But for the most part, it's been 9 p.m. Central Time to whenever, usually like 2 in the morning.
Late night.
I'll usually do so it's usually like late night Central Time, because I'll work 3 a.m. to noon. That's my shift, and I work from home for now, luckily, and then I'll get off at noon and just pretty much sleep the day away until about 6, 7, 8 p.m. and then get up and shower and prepare and do my thing. So that with that time frame, I think it's I guess from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. my time, Central Time. I think Australians are up, so I get I get a decent amount of Australians in the stream as well. And then eventually, if I ever do stream past 2 a.m., it's the UK people waking up at like 7 a.m. over there. So I think it's kind of a good spot to be in for kind of getting the US people in during the late night and then kind of into other regions. Just depends.
Yeah. No, that works though. Like I tend to be a late night streamer, and I get a lot of early morning, just waking up Europeans sometimes when I go late into the night.
Yeah, people will say in the chat like, "Yeah, I'm watching you from my bed and it's 6 a.m. and I'm like, that's that's your thing. Do it. Like, do your thing."
And James, when do you usually stream?
That's hard. Like, I try to stream at least once a month. Always. I've been more regular this past month though.
Yeah.
So I try to stream. I try not to let a week pass without me streaming, but usually when I'm streaming, it's usually early afternoon, like 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. depending on the day, because I'm usually I'm done with all my classes by 1 p.m. most days, and that's when I stream.
Yeah, for those who don't know, James is an accomplished YouTuber more than a streamer. So I've been trying to get him to stream more. He is well known in the Minion Masters community, and everyone loves him. He's such a nice guy.
Except the trolls.
Look at that. Look at his hair. He wakes up and his hair just looks like that. Just amazing.
It's a lack of a haircut mostly. I need to
It's that subtle curl, dude. My hair is so straight, I have to fight with it every day. It just like goes straight up. You have just enough curl that you can just be like, "Oh, this is my life." I'm jealous of your hair, by the way. You're never gonna stop hearing about me.
I know.
Jimmy, are you in the thin hair train like me?
No, my hair is thick, but it's straight as fuck. Like there's a significant amount of progress to make it lay like this. Like, product is my life. There is what is it? Wax and hairspray and just the right haircut to make this happen. This is not natural. So the thinning is probably coming though. Although my grandpa died with a full head of hair, so
Yes.
on my mom's side, supposedly it doesn't go from your mom, like your grandpa to your mom. I don't know. They say it comes from your mom's side. So like if your grandpa on your mom's side is bald, then supposedly you're gonna be bald. I don't know. That's what they say.
I don't think whatever it is.
You just rub feces in your hair every morning.
What?
And
That's the trick.
It'll stimulate the roots.
Worst Rogaine sponsor ever. Just rub that feet in your hair. It's fine.
Rogaine is Spanish for feces, by the way. For those who, I'm pretty sure that's James can confirm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, go check them out. Go give them a follow. Give them a like. Give them all your love. Give them all the buckets for joining us tonight. I bugged them. I think I asked Josh like 5 times to be on my podcast.
Finally, I said, fine.
He's a busy dude, and I appreciate him taking the time to do this. It's been a ton of fun. It's been really good getting to know you guys. So it sounds like schedule-wise, you just go watch Josh Tucker, and then you just go ahead, and when you're done with that, you just go over to ChristopherClever. You don't need to sleep. Sleep when you're dead.
I like how you just called me Cleaver.
I told you it was going to happen, dude. I've got like 4 or 5 drinks in me. I do not apologize. I knew this was coming. He
it's
is
like calling him Josh Tucker. Josh Tucker.
I like it.
You're the Cleve Daddy.
Cleve Daddy. I'm good with Cleve Daddy.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Twitch.tv/ChristopherClever, CLEVER, and Twitch.tv/Josh Tucker. They're on the Twitters. They're all over the place. Make sure you go check them out. We will be back next week. We don't have a guest for next week, so it may just be me and James hyping up TwitchCon. By the way, Josh, you're going to TwitchCon. Chris, you going to TwitchCon?
Yes.
All four of us. Let's all meet up and
dude, yeah, man.
Do shots except James. He just has to sit in the corner and watch.
I'll just hold the water for you guys.
I'm gonna send you guys.
I'll slip you a shot when no one's looking.
I'll send you guys a link to this brunch thing we're doing. I don't know if it's still up, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, we're going to be doing some coordinating, I'm sure, through the Twitters and the Discords and stuff. So we'll all meet up. We'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. Have a good night, everyone. Any parting words, Josh? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to say?
No, I appreciate you having me on, man. It was an honor.
Awesome. Chris?
No, it's been fun, dude. Yeah, I'll definitely follow all you guys. And if you're in the chat, follow these dudes. They're all awesome.
James?
I just gotta say, so the Discord store launched today. And
the game store.
Game on the service is Minion Masters. So if you're looking for some top 1% gameplay, that's the game I stream. FYI.
Yeah, it's free on Discord. Discord has a game market now, apparently. So go check it out. Minion Masters, free on Discord. James is a top 20 player. I think, is Cobalt still streaming? I feel like we should go raid him. Not that he'll even notice, but we'll go say hi to Cobalt. If you guys want to stick around in Zoom just for a second, we're going to take just a couple pictures. I'm going to take a couple screen caps of you guys for the YouTube thumbnails to make Frost's life easier. But for everyone out there, let's go drop a raid on Cobalt and say hi. Thank you guys for being here. It's been a fun night. And until next Wednesday, we will... I'll be doing my usual thing, Tuesday through Thursday. I don't think we have a guest for next week. But anyone out there going to TwitchCon, hit us up. Let's have a meetup. Let's do the thing. Have a good night, everyone. I'll talk to you later.